I'll just add one more thing, guys. There's a lot of contention within the jiu-jitsu community about leg locks as if they're some separate part of jiu-jitsu, and as if the guys that go for leg locks only go for leg locks, and as if the traditional guys only use traditional jiu-jitsu, right? I want to say that the balance is in between, right? Like everyone knows of a backstep heel hook. Like I'm passing the guard and I'm backstep. If I'm not really trying to pass the guard, it's going to be obvious my intention is to backstep. They'll see it a mile away. So if I am, as the traditional guys say, one-track minded on leg locks, they're actually harder to get. I'm never going to find it, right? If I'm playing guard and I'm just looking for leg locks, guys see that coming, they shut it down, right? If I'm playing I'm trying to sweep, maybe I'm trying to turn things into takedowns, maybe I'm even playing a traditional closed guard position, and I take the leg lock opportunities as they come, rather than just force and only do leg locks, you'll have much greater success, right? So I think leg locks have come in a big way recently, right? So I want to say that they're not something separate to jiu-jitsu. Say when the berimbolo came out, a lot of traditional guys had a problem with the berimbolo. They were like, I don't want to add that to my game. But again, the fact remains, if you're not good at the berimbolo, you're rolling in a gi, a guy that's good at the berimbolo is going to kill you, even if you're better just about everywhere else in jiu-jitsu. If you have that void in your game, those guys are going to rightfully exploit it. Exactly the same with leg locks. It's easy to say that if I have good fundamentals and good basics, that the leg lock attacks won't be there. I agree that is true to a certain extent. But again, if you're not willing to learn that game, you're going to have a void in your game and it's going to be exploited. So you'll see a blue belt that's really good at heel hooks could potentially beat a world-class gi black belt. And that's not to say the blue belt's better, it's just to say that there's a hole in the game. And jiu-jitsu is changing all the time. Leg locks are relatively a new thing in terms of how effective they've become. Like they've always been around. I agree they've always been around, but nowadays guys have really taken it to another level. Just like with the berimbolo evolves every year. So whether or not you like leg locks or not, you have to add them. It's not something different. It's a part of the game now. So I want you to remember that when you're using what we learned in this DVD. I'm showing purely leg locks in this DVD, right? But if you're only attacking leg locks, easy to see, easy to shut down, right? I want you to add the leg locks to the rest of your game. So when you're trying to pass the guard, maybe you have leg locks in mind, you want to backstep, you want to grab a leg. We're not just going to go for that, we're going to really try and pass the guard, we're going to really try and force half guard before we make those transitions. And the same from the ground, right? The same from when you're playing guard. I want you to be really attacking sweeps. And in those transitions, you'll find opportunities to enter the leg locks that wouldn't be there had you just been looking for the leg lock positions. I think that's something really important to remember. Obviously, as you're new to leg locks, you want to practice them a lot, you want to use them a lot in rolling, but if you want to make them effective at a higher level, you're going to have to combine them with what you've traditionally been doing or what you've traditionally learned. Alright guys, so let's look at a basic concept that I like to use for attacking leg locks and defending leg locks. And what I call it is like either two legs inside their two legs, or if my two legs are outside their two legs. So say if we're both on our butt here, so we're having a battle for leg control, whoever gets two legs inside is going to be safe. So I'm pretty safe from just about all of the leg locks from the other end, and for me it's quite easy to slip in to a leg lock attack myself. And this goes the same as if we can use this defensively too. So obviously you could use it offensively, like because a lot of guys like to pass the guard. Imagine I get two legs inside and we fall back for leg locks. So we can use that offensively, but also keep it in mind defensively. So like if my opponent has really good leg locks, I'll try and always keep two legs inside. There's always going to be a danger, one leg outside, they might invert through, or if they get two legs inside, they might get to single leg X and they can start to attack theirs. So for me, from a defensive standpoint, if I want to keep clear, I'm always working two legs inside. So even if one leg ends up out, I'll try and pummel it in. And it's the same if we reverse rolls. If my opponent on top is really good at leg locks, I'll always try and play inside. I'll never leave a foot hanging out. If a foot hangs out, they grab that, they sit back. So that's sort of loosely the concept I want you to think about playing with. And a good way to do that is from double guard pull. So a game I like to play is we start here and we both battle until one of us gets inside leg control. So this is the very early stages of leg pummeling. So if we did the drill, we usually start one leg in, one leg out, and now we both attack. So we're trying to kick legs clear, bring it in. They might pummel it back, and we keep having this battle until one of us gets too inside. So it's a battle for safety and it's a battle for dominant positions before we even really get to a position where we can attack the leg lock. Alright, so continuing on from the leg pummeling, let's imagine we've pummeled, we've got two legs inside, right? So the attack I want to go for from here, more so than attack, is just the dominant position. And you would have heard this position called a number of different things. I know some people call it like a Ashi Garami, which is like a traditional Japanese name, or if you're from more the IBJJF background, you call it single leg X. I just call it single leg X, right? So we've landed in our dominant leg pummel. I want to attack the single leg X on this side. So that means I let go with the right hand. I drop my knee to the floor and I pull their knee past. And as I do that, I slide in as deep as I can. So we drop, I pull myself in and I put the foot back on the head. So ideally here, I want to clamp the heel inside the hip here, and I want to try and hide the toes as best I can with my knee. Obviously, different body proportions make this more difficult, but the better I can hide these toes, the more we're going to block their escapes. Quite often, guys will try and push that foot off. And again, they'll try and push it off from the toes sometimes. If you've got a real good heel clamp, they'll push the toes first, and the foot will slide off. So obviously, the deeper I get, the deeper this foot can come, and the better I can hide the toes from my opponent. So let's look at what we're doing with our other foot here. So we can see it best from this position. So single leg X, a lot of guys will have the inside foot on the same leg as the outside foot, right? But we're gonna play it a bit different. So I'll show you the angle. So what I'm gonna do is when I'm in this position, I wanna cut the butt here. So I really wanna pull them in. And again, this not only traps their hips to us, it also protects our foot, because if I leave my foot on the inside here, guys can actually do this. Like it's like a heel hook here, and it comes on real quick because we're actually trapping our own foot. Or another thing, guys, they'll just go for a regular toe hold from here. And especially if I'm going for like a straight ankle lock and they grab a toe hold, that's gonna come on very quick. It's gonna do a lot more damage than my say straight ankle lock grip. Obviously, if I had an outside heel hook, it's a bit of a battle there. Sometimes I think the toe hold will come on quicker still. So unless you're willing to not tap to that, I would hide that foot. So again, just like we're talking about, this top foot is as deep as possible. Our butt is as close to their butt as possible. We don't want to be out here, right? If I clamp it out here, they can straighten their leg and they can pull their leg out better. See if it slides out, right? The closer I'm in, the more bend we create in this leg. We can create that bend with our hips here. So I can apply a bit of hip pressure, it bends their knee, and it's very difficult to pull out a bent leg here. They want to straighten the leg to pull it out. So now if they try and pull out the leg, they sort of pull me with them. If the leg's straight, it's hard to hang on to this. Even with a straight ankle lock grip, they can slide that out. So again, sometimes when it's dry early in the match, those things aren't as important, but as time goes on, as we get sweaty or maybe they shave their legs, all those details need to be perfect. So again, we're hooking this butt cheek here. We're hiding the top foot. My butt is close in, and I apply a bit of hip pressure into the knee. I'm actually resting. We switch the angle. I'm resting onto my shoulder here. So I tuck the elbow, and I'm on my shoulder. So I'm applying hip pressure in. And I'm not applying hip pressure in a way that pushes me away. The hips are coming in just like an arm bar. On the shoulder, on the elbow, we're trying to hide the toes. We're hooking the far butt cheek here. And that's the basic positioning, the single leg X or Ashi Garami if you prefer to call it that. But that's how I try and clamp them there. So that's where we're gonna build a system that progresses from the outside heel hook all the way through to the inside heel hook. And along the way there'll be lots of stops, we'll counter their counters, and we'll look at different ways to apply the heel hook. Alright, so let's look at exposing the heel in terms of getting the heel hook. But what I think a lot of DVDs don't teach is how to deal with someone when they give the incorrect response or the incorrect defense. So a lot of times you'll see high-level instructors teach a move, and they'll teach it as if the person they're applying the move on is going to do a high-level defense. But sometimes you roll lower belts, they're crazy, they do anything, they roll the wrong way. Sometimes it catches you by surprise. So I like to really hammer this down here in terms of the position we're in, right? If they keep their foot on the floor here, they're hiding the heel. Like, it's going to be hard for me to get bite on the heel. So we'd have to create a heel exposure, and we will do that. That'll be the next step. But some guys feel like the correct response is they want to turn to their left and run and try and pull this knee out, right? So come up into their hands, they pull the knee out. Why that's the incorrect response is because you do this real slowly. As they turn away, they expose the heel here. So they're giving us a look at their heel, right? Obviously, if it's slippery or if our positioning's off, that escape can still work, and you'll see it at a higher level. But what people do to escape is they clear this knee. You can see this knee is firmly in the space of my hips here. Like, I've got some knee control here. The minute this knee slips, so if the knee was out at all, and I tried to attack a heel hook, I actually have no pressure on the knee, because when the knee's out and we turn the heel, we actually turn the hip. So the pressure comes onto the ankle and hip. And at a higher level, guys, you see it in many competitions, they're not going to tap to anything that's going to damage the ankle. And obviously, there's really not much hip pressure here. But most people, when I say most, are going to tap if we can apply the pressure to the knee. That being said, again, the outside heel hook is sort of less catastrophic damage. So you see a lot of guys take the wear and tear of that and still rip their knee out. Inside heel hook's going to do a lot more damage. Guys might not tap, but that is definitely going to change the course of the fight. So we keep moving on here. What I want you to think about when they turn the wrong way is that this knee pressure, so my knees are pinching together real tight. And as they turn, I lay flat on my back. So as they expose the heel, I lay flat on my back here. My knees are pinched real tight, and I grab this heel here. And you can see, if you look at the grip here, right, we're going to go into finishes in more detail, but I want you to grab the heel onto the wrist. So you can either point to yourself with your thumb, or you can cup the wrist, cup the heel with your wrist. What I don't want to see is the heel in the elbow. The heel in the elbow quite often slips clear, and that's what we want to avoid. So we come back. We'll really go into detail on this, because guys rolling away can be incredibly frustrating, right? So as they roll away, my knees remain pinched. I stay flat on my back. I take the heel exposure, and I slide my shoulders along the floor. You can see again, that's creating bend in the leg. The knee pinch, this knee is blocking this knee from getting cleared. If I leave this knee too wide, they pull their knee out. And again, we're here. We're not going to make anything happen in terms of heel hooks. Obviously, we do have a look at their back. They're exposing their back momentarily, but we'd rather take what they've given us in terms of they've exposed the heel. We want to capitalize on that and finish, right? So again, we're here. They start to turn away. Pinch the knees, expose the heel, and stay flat on that back. While we stay flat on the back, right, we change the angle. While we stay flat on the back and not on the side, ultimately we're going to end up with two legs on this side. If I turn to my side with the heel, it actually gives me better bite on the heel, but I can't pull my foot out. My foot can get trapped. And we're not going to finish it here. It's possible, maybe if they're not experienced in leg locks, they might still tap from here, but the pressure's not the same. It's hard for me to generate hip pressure while this foot's stuck. So what we want to do, we want to finish off, we go back, roll it down, we expose the heel, stay flat, and drag our shoulders in. And you can see, it makes it quite easy to get this foot out. But this part isn't simple either. In terms of throwing two legs to the outside, I don't want to go wide. If I go wide with this leg, they still pull the knee out. That's a real common mistake I see people make, right? So we're here, we're pinching real tight. The way I clear this foot and throw it to the outside is by maintaining knee pressure in. So this knee stays here. My knees stay clamped. And you can see the knee pressure remains throughout the whole transition here. So again, we're not going wide with this. We're going to lose the knee here. This has to stay tight. So we pinch, and the foot comes out, but the knee pressure remains in. And we land, and depending on body size, we change the angle here. So we come back up. So we've got the heel exposure again. We can either do the thumb, we can cup the heel with our wrist. We've got the clamp. In terms of how we want our legs to finish, I end up with, it's like a half body triangle, right? we're not going under the knee here. It's actually a little bit looser. It's hard for me to keep the clamp, and I find their knee slips out. What I want to do is this half position, so it's not a closed guard. It's actually here, just in the middle of the calf, and I bring both feet to my butt here. Because what that causes bridging pressure. So we can come up with our hips here. And that's what's really going to put a lot of pressure on the heel and the knee, especially the knee. So once we've secured this position, we've still got the heel. We can now finish the heel hook. So what I want you to do, we keep your thumb angled towards you. The reason we do this is because it means the heel gets trapped on the wrist here. So if I'm sliding down, it gets blocked. If it was just my wrist here, if my thumb was pointing the other way, you can see it's a smooth surface to slip off. So again, we want the heel just below the wrist, as close to the wrist as possible here. It creates a real good bite. It's actually hard for me to slide the wrist off. If we turn it the wrong way, it's gonna come off. So we were here, thumb towards us. We're gonna go a gable grip. So again, we're gonna go palm to palm. For those guys new to jiu-jitsu and they haven't heard that term, a gable grip is palm to palm. And what's important with this grip is we use the grip to pull our elbows together. So I'm pulling my elbows real tight together here. I don't want my elbows high, because you can see the higher the elbow is, the greater the chance it slips. So this grip we actually use this grip to pull our elbows in. Now to finish the heel hook, what I don't want to do, I don't want to drag the heel across my body, and I don't want to turn with the heel. Like, I don't know where it comes from, but instinctually people hear heel hook and they think they want to turn really aggressively, right? But if I turn that way, I'm turning the direction they need to roll to escape. So watch this, if I start to turn, they actually roll with me, and the heel hook doesn't come on as clear. And sometimes they escape in transition. So we come back. So they gotta roll. Again, heel explosion, knee pinch. So what I want to do, once I've got the grip, I want to drag the heel to my center line here. So I want to drag the heel this way, and I want to turn my shoulders this way as I lift my hips up. So we lift the hips, we drag the heel, and we get the tap. So you can see the finish there. We won't go over it too much, but if you think about this, right, the shoulders, so the toes are trapped in the armpit. When my shoulders move this way, it drags the toes this way. When the hand, the gable grip, pulls towards the center line, we've got a force going in a different direction. So the foot's turning like this, right? If we didn't move the shoulders, it's just the heel coming up. If we combine them both, we're actually turning the foot, the ankle at a real aggressive angle. And then when we apply hip pressure, it really drags a lot of the force onto the knee. Without hip pressure, quite often guys, we'll still be able to roll. So you can see this, right? So we're coming back to the position. So this is our finishing position. If I just turn, they can actually still manage to move their hips a bit here. If I lift my hips, right? So if I lift the hips and they try and roll, it actually applies the heel hook to them. When we lift the hips, it's as if they have to roll over something. So we'll do it one more time. So again, this is what we're doing. Like, I consider this the wrong response because it's a high risk move. But again, if it's slippery, if you need to get out, if you need to make something happen, it's definitely a viable option, right? So we're in our heel hook position. They start to turn. We want this knee pinch tight. And again, I'm dragging my shoulders and taking the false grip. If I don't drag the shoulders, the legs stay straight. So I'm dragging to this angle, right? Again, back's flat on the floor, hips are flat on the floor. Knees are pinched. Knee remains pinched as we pummel it. So again, we're not gonna go wide. We keep the pressure and we go to this half body triangle position. Connect the gable grip, and again, heels below the wrist. It's not in the elbow slips. We lift our hips, shoulders come to the side, and the heel comes to our center line. And it should come on with not much force at all. What I will say, we'll add one more grip here, right? And this does come up a lot. At a high level, guys are pretty mobile with the ankles. They can slip the heel, or it's slippery, right? So let's look at it. If you just turn it that way. Ideal world, this is where we end up, right? Sometimes in transition, it does end up in the elbow. If it ends up in the elbow, we don't want to use a gable grip. You can see all that space there. They can rotate your ankle here. Even when I pinch my elbows together, there's all this space. So, again, rather than landing here, readjusting back to here, giving him opportunity to escape. If the heel slips, instead of gable with all this space, we're going to go to a butterfly grip. So I'm going to slide our wrists together. We're going to grab the top of our forearms and use that to pull our elbows together. And you can see there's no space there now. Again, I wouldn't use this as the first option because I feel like we don't want to aim for the elbow because there's still a higher chance of it slipping out. I like the idea of aiming for the wrist, and if it slips, gives us a second look. Obviously, if I aim straight for the elbow, we miss it, we got nothing. If I aim for the wrist and it slips, it's going to slip to the elbow, and then we can adjust our grip accordingly. Alright, so we covered what to do and how to attack if they try and turn and run away. But you'll see a lot of experienced leg lock guys. It looks like they're just hanging out here and being comfortable. It almost looks, sometimes you see it, you think, oh, is this guy being arrogant and not actually trying to escape? But what they're doing is they're hiding their foot along the floor here, right? Because it's hard for me to expose the heel. But we're going to do a little trick to expose the heel even though they're hiding it here, right? So again, you might see in some matches, guys are really comfortable hanging out here defensively, and that's because they're not respecting the opponent's heel exposure. But we're going to do a little trick to try and get this heel off the ground. And again, get the heel on the wrist, not the elbow. What we want to do, we've landed in this position, obviously everything's clamped tight, our knees are pinched, we're really close, we're butt to butt. What we're going to do, we're going to drag our elbow in and fall to our shoulder. And I'm going to lift my hips up just to put their foot inside my elbow gap here. So where we want to place it is just here, right? So we haven't exposed the heel. It's sort of like a pit stop between the heel exposure and the initial defensive position. And again, no matter how big they are, like, I want you to move your hips up and you can lift the foot. So get your partner to try and keep his foot on the floor. Your hips are going to lift it. They're going to lift it at least enough to put our elbow under there. So again, that's step one. It's like a pit stop. It's like in between. We're securing it, but we're not actually completing the position yet. So again, we fold our elbow and our shoulder. We lift our hips up. When I say up to the sky, not up and in like an armbar. So up, and the foot slides up here. Now what we want to do, we want to drag our hips forward and turn our hips over. And the idea is the toes are going to remain trapped, but the heel is going to slip out. So if you guys watch this, if you can zoom in here, if you can see how the heel's on the floor, but the toes are still in the armpit. So we'll do that one more time. So we're here again, we've gone to this pit stop position, so their foot's on the floor. We drop that elbow and shoulder, I lift that foot up, and now my hip is going to rotate. So my hip rotates up and over, and my elbow slides back. And the heel slides to the floor, and you can see the heel is in the wrist, the toes are trapped, and we've got this cupping grip on the ankle. From here, we can secure the gable, and again, we're applying the finish with our hips in and heel up. I'm not rotating away. I don't want to give him a chance at escape here. So again, for the finish, it should come on real quick here. Something to remember again, with the grips, pull your elbows together. Always get in the habit of pulling your elbows together. So let's look at it one more time. Let's look at what people mess up when they start practicing this heel exposure. What they end up doing is they try and reach their hand behind them here. So they'll lift up, they'll pull their hand behind, and they'll drop their hip. You can see I've exposed the heel, but my hand's on the wrong side of the body. I actually can't just slide it back through here because my hip's weighted on their foot and their foot's heavy, so my hand's not going to come back through. And if I try and lift my hips, we're leaving space for them to hide their heel again. So again, what we want to do, the elbow drags back. So we fall into the shoulder and the elbow. We've lifted our hips. The heels ended up in the crease of our elbow here. And then again, lift your hips and drag your heel back. Drag your elbow back so the heel hits the floor. From here we can connect the grip. And again, the thumb is coming towards us here. It's not coming away. That really gives us a good bite. So then we apply hip pressure and drag the heel up to complete it. So that one, for that one I want, the technical portion of that is actually quite simple. There's no way you can break that down in a simpler way. That one's going to be one that's going to require lots of repetition. And you want to repeat that enough that you can apply you can expose the heel quick. Because once guys are aware that you're good at exposing it from there, they're not going to hang out there very long. They're going to be pushing the foot off, trying to jump over. So in the next step, we'll address how to deal with that. Right, so we'll follow on from the last sequence of exposing the heel when they're on their side. We'll look at some things they do. We'll look at some things they do to escape and try and counter it around. So I have this rule that if I haven't exposed the heel, so if I haven't got a heel grip and they push this foot off, I'm not going to throw this leg over and hang out here, right? And we'll get to that later. We'll get to that when we talk about counters. But in my opinion, and obviously there are guys that do this very well, Eddie Cummings comes here and he exposes the heel very well. I think it is an incredibly high risk position because it gives your opponent a look at the inside. Guys are really good at hiding the heel here, and it's actually harder to expose the heel here with two outside than it is from here. And with two outside, it's actually even harder to stop them from coming up and stacking you, maybe taking the back. Or even worse, is guys get real good at pummeling this leg over and they start to switch the position up and they start to attack my inside. So if I have, say for example, if I've exposed the heel, they push the foot off, I will throw this leg over and we can finish the position here. So I will cross my feet, I will cross the outside foot over the inside foot. Chances of them heel hooking us here are pretty slim, right? But we can minimize the risk by going outside over. Obviously inside over, slightly greater risk that they maybe attack this. But what I'll do outside over, I'll pull their butt to me, so I really try and hide my feet behind them, and then we can finish the heel hook. And we finish the exact same way, hip pressure and heel to the center line. But again, that's if I have a heel exposure. So specific situation is that maybe we're pretty good at exposing the heel, we're quick, but obviously that's a quicker movement, just pushing the heel off. So again, if we're here, maybe we've got a straight ankle lock grip and they throw the foot over, I'm not going to throw this leg over and hang out here. I'm not going to do that. For me, too high risk as I was explaining, and we'll go over the counters in depth later in the DVD. We'll attack the back, we'll attack the inside heel hook. So what we do, right, if, say I have a straight ankle lock grip, they push the foot to the floor and they jump their butt over, I actually grab their other leg and we switch through. And we've got an attack at this leg. So you guys can do this as a drill even. So now they're on the other side, they push this foot off, they jump their butt over, they switch. And the reason we switch is it's very difficult to get off any sort of attack once their butt's over on the same side leg. Like it's very difficult here. Like even if I get this foot over, it's hard to bring this one out. So your best bet is, this one's already here. Switch. So we'll keep switching back and forth. And obviously, then we're at the start of the sequence again. We're at the start of this sequence to attack. But let's look at right. So what we just covered then was if they put the foot up, jump over, we don't have a heel exposure. If they push the foot off, but we don't let them jump over, right? And what you do here, this is really important, right? If they push the foot off, usually if you're trying to do a straight ankle lock or something, you're trying to rip this, you keep the foot close because you want to try and put it back on the hip because we want to create some bridging pressure with our feet off the hip to attack this. But in terms of heel hooks, if they push this foot to the floor, I don't want to leave it there. It's so close to jump off, so I'll kick it away. I'll bring this leg through, I'll kick it, and I'll use that momentum to carry me up. I'll swing to my knees here. I'll pinch my knees together. So again, like what we're talking about with the knee control concept, the knee's close to us here, it's tight in our groin. If you can see, both my feet are on the same side here. I don't want to end up here. It's quite hard to pinch the knees together, and they'll actually probably pull their leg out really easily, like if you pull back. But with the knees pinched on the same side, they try and pull the knee out, more difficult, right? So now we've changed the position. We're in another position we can expose the heel, and it's a position that's not as easy for them to counter. So in my mind, lower risk position is a better position. So what we're going to do here, we're going to cup the Achilles, and we're going to pull a bend into that leg. And I move my knee back slightly, and then toes in the armpit, elbow to the body, and now we've created a heel exposure. A lot of people ask here, can I finish the heel hook here? And the answer is, yeah, you probably could, but against the high level guys, like I'm not using my hips here. So really most of the pressure, depending on how flexible their knee is, it's still going to come on the ankle. So once I grab the heel exposure, we go back to our hip. We tuck our feet behind and we stay close, and then we finish the heel hook here. So again, we can go back to that position because we've got the heel exposure. So again, these two legs outside, we don't want to be here on our butt flat unless we've got the heel exposure. So this is like we're adding a step, we're skipping ahead, we're grabbing the heel from a different position, and we're falling back to the finishing position. So again, we're here, they push the foot off, don't leave it here, it's so close to them to jump over. Kick it away. I kick that leg through to drag myself up, and I pinch my knees, and the more I angle in, the better. It's gonna make it easier to bend the knee. Scoop up the Achilles, toes in the armpit, and elbow to your body. So you can see we're creating bite here. As I bring my elbow to my body, I turn my thumb out. We cup the heel, and again, you can either cup it with a hand like that, or sometimes even the thumb's enough. But hand on the floor, and we fall onto our hip right next to that butt, and I pull myself in close. A common mistake people make is they expose the heel and they get overzealous and they jump back in. But again, the leg's straight, they straighten the leg, the knee's almost out. Either I won't finish it or they'll just rip that leg out here. So when we expose the heel, we have to sit close to them, right? So the foot comes off, we kick it away, we kick through, use the momentum to carry us up. We're turning inwards, cup the Achilles, expose the heel, you can practice this. You want to be quick with this. Cup it, hand on the floor, and full close. Really close to them here. I use my feet to pull them in, connect the grip, and again, the same finish. Hips in, heel to the center. Alright, so we'll continue the sequence. So we made it all the way through to here, and I mean, we do have an opportunity to expose the heel here, but obviously the next logical step, and the question I always get asked is, what do we do if the opponent crosses the feet? So if you are bigger or stronger than your opponent, there is still a chance that we can use our elbow to clear and still cause a heel exposure here. But let's assume that that's not the case. So what I want to do now is I'm going to pick up the leg, step up, and I want to sit on their stomach here. So I want to sit on them here, right? So that means if they want to push me back down, they have to come up to their hands. And if they have to come up to their hands, it means they're not fighting us with a body lock here. So obviously this is best case scenario. We're sitting on top of them here. My knees are pinched because we don't want to lose this knee. We're now switching. We're attacking this leg. We're attacking this leg. They protected it. So we're going to switch from the outside to the inside heel hook here. So what we want to do, we want to underhook this leg. We're going to base on the ground with our hand, and we're going to start to rotate around the leg all the way until my butt hits the floor. Once my butt hits the floor, I want to grab that far leg and swing all the way through so my knee's on the floor on this side. What we're then going to do is we're going to take a body triangle and we're going to grab a straight ankle lock grip on the top leg. We want to keep them on this hip here. So the best way to keep them on that hip is to apply pressure to the floor with our knee and our hip. And if we control the top leg, we've got control of their hips. So it means they can't turn away very easily. So if they try and turn to the left, they can't, well, we've got control of this leg. If we didn't have this leg, they can start to turn away, and they can do what's commonly known as like the running man escape. They're turning, gonna try and run and pull their foot out. So we'll go over that transition again. So we've made it all the way through. We're up to our knees here. We start to attack, but they cross their feet, so they're sort of blocking the outside. Again, we could still potentially clear it here. Like we can use that elbow to bump, but we'll go to the path of least resistance here. And again, I think it's better to end up with the inside heel hook because it's going to do a lot more damage than the outside. Just about everyone taps the inside. Quite a few people won't tap to the outside, so that's something you have to deal with too. So we're going to pick up the knee, we're going to come up, we're going to sit on their chest here. And again, we're pinching our knees here. Because as we make this transition through, I don't want to let this knee hit the floor. Quite often guys will be loose here, they'll start to sit, and you can see, even if I end up facing, we've lost the knee here, and if we've lost the knee, we've lost the heel hook. So we come back up. So we want to keep this pinch. This is tight. We're going to come under the leg, post on the floor, and swing our butt to the floor. But before, so if they got their feet crossed, before I make the transition all the way through, I want to control their top leg. And again, just like we were talking about before, I control the top leg because we've got double leg control, we've got hip control. If I just turn through, they might open their legs and do the running man escape straight away. And guys are very good at that. One of the best guys at that is Bagno Hosho. So we want to minimize that. So while we're still underhooking, they got the body lock, we make the switch here. So that's when I grab it. I grab it here because they can't turn away here. The angle we've got control to help them to do the running man escape. So we grab a straight ankle lock grip, post, and then we roll through and get the body lock. And now they try and turn away. They can't. So we'll do it one more time. Change the angle again. So we've come through, we're up on our knees, they cross their legs, we're going to scoop it up and sit on their chest here. We keep the knees pinched, we're underhooking the leg. I'm going to start to sit through, my butt's on the floor. And at this point, I grab the top leg. I grab control of the top leg, post, swing my knee to the floor, and get the body lock, the body triangle with our feet here. So again, we've got to control this early before we make the complete transition, because again, we don't have control of this leg, we don't really have control of the position. Very difficult to keep someone here without double leg control. Finish the leg lock attacks from this position. And again, like we talked about earlier, people have a lot of different names for this. I'm just going to call it the saddle. So we'll call it the saddle if we've got this body triangle and we're looking to attack the inside heel hook. So a lot of people try some different moves from here. They try the straight ankle lock, they try pummel under and go for the knee bar. But for me, it's like, let's just go straight for the most damaging move straight away, the move that's going to work on everyone. So obviously, it's going to be the inside heel hook. But we do have a problem here, right? If I want to attack the inside, I can't just let go of this leg, because they start to roll away and hide the heel. So what we want to do is we want to find a way to control the hips and give us time to attack the heel. We're going to do that by crisscrossing the legs, right? So we're here, again we're on the side of the leg we want to attack. The first reason we do that is because when I put them on the same side hip of the leg I want to attack, it makes it hard for them to hide their heel here. If we were square, they can turn their foot quite far, like not even like that. It's going to be harder to reach, right? It's easier to reach when we're on this hip, so it's easy to attack, it's harder for them to hide. So again, we've got this straight ankle lock grip. So now let's look at how to crisscross the legs. What I want to do, I want to cut the Achilles of their top leg, the leg I've got the straight ankle lock grip on. And I want to move myself out of the way, and I want to frame against this leg. Because just like we were talking about earlier, if we can bend the leg, it's going to be harder for him to rip it out. So again, we go through, we duck, like frame against here. I pull this leg into my pocket, and I sit on it. So obviously, we're not going to keep this here forever, but we're going to keep it here long enough to attack this. Against really good guys, cupping it in the hip might not be enough. Let's change the angle here. Against really good guys, or really flexible guys, just sitting on this isn't going to be enough, because they're going to be able to pull their knee back towards us and roll away. So sometimes we're holding at the ankle, they can still pull, you can still turn your hips. See, so flexible guys, that's not enough control. So we want to cup the knee. So once they're crisscrossed, we cup the knee, now try and turn away. It's going to be much harder. So that's the difference. That's a detail there that will save you against high level guys. If you hold the ankle, they can drag their knee away and turn their hips. So if you turn, you see that, right? So it's not good enough control, so we come back. So we want to cup the knee. We're going to cup that time, and we can cup it with the opposite arm to the one we're going to attack with. So again, our left arm, we're in our left hip, our left arm's going to block the knee. What they're going to do still is they're going to try and turn their foot. They don't want to leave their heel hanging here. They leave their heel hanging here, they're pretty much giving us the heel hook. We can reach for it however we want if it's there. What they want to do is turn their foot away. So now if I reach with the elbow, it's hard to get the heel. So we need to create a heel exposure here. So I want to bring the toes to my armpit, and I want to elbow strike the toes here. And we bring the elbow to our body. So again, elbow strike and turn your thumb out. So they're hiding the heel. We're not reaching with the elbow. We're dragging our armpit there, and we're elbow striking and pointing the thumb out. From here, we can grab either this cupping grip, or we can just point the thumb towards us. And then we can let go of the knee and make the gable grip transition. And same way we finish the outside heel hook, right? So if you think about the foot, the shoulders are going to drag the toes that way. Our gable grip's going to drag the heel that way, and we're going to apply hip pressure. So you should be able to finish this with one hand. Obviously in competition use two, but just for the sake of practicing, we'll get a finish. So the heel's going this way, toes are going that way, and our hips are coming up. So the way I learned to practice this is I would secure the grip, I would go to the point of tapping, I'd let go of it, and then I would complete the movement. So that way it builds the practice of completing the heel hook from start to finish, because the heel hook, unfortunately, isn't one of... Sometimes you can catch a submission dead to rights. You've got it, you don't need to hurt your opponent to finish it. But with the heel hook, it's very hard to find an area of complete control where you can just lock it down and they can't get out. Usually if you hesitate with the heel hook, they escape. I've made that mistake in competition before, giving someone time to tap, and they've escaped, actually come back and beat me. But you want to get in the habit of, once you grab the heel hook grip, that's when they should tap. So you want to be in the habit of practicing completing. You want to always get the grip and complete the movement from beginning to end. So when we're drilling it, go to the point of when they need a tap, then complete the movement. It will just build that habit. Because you don't want to hesitate. It might be the only opportunity you get on someone's leg. So let's do this crisscross attack again. We'll do it from a different angle. So again, just the position we were doing before. We got the body triangle. We're on our side here. We've got the straight ankle lock grip. Again, we're not trying to straight ankle lock, and no one's really going to tap to that. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut the Achilles, and instead of just trying to drag the foot across, we move ourselves out of the way. I frame against their leg here. If they're real strong, I can even grab my own leg for extra support. So I drag this out of the way, and then I come back up, and I'm cupping the knee here. So again, check that you've got control. Ask your opponent to try and turn away. They can't do it right. So now I cut with the left, and I start to attack this. And again, they don't just leave their heel floating in the air, they try and turn their foot away. So we want to reach towards it and elbow strike the toes and turn your thumb out. And again, heel is below the wrist, it's not in the elbow. This is the ideal position. So either we're doing this cupping there, or we're putting the thumb towards us. So one of the two, both are going to secure it. So then, once we've got the heel, we let go, we grab the gable, we've got the tap here, but we have this much more room to finish. So there's one finish, probably the safest finish to apply the heel hook from the saddle position with cross control. So that's one way to deal with when people want to do the running man escape. Some people don't have that in-depth level of escapes, and what they'll actually do is when we have the saddle, they'll just cross their feet. And again, this is one of those ones where it's like, you might have sophisticated attacks from the saddle, but because no one really does this in your gym, you come into a competition, they do something so simple as cross their feet, and you have a lot of trouble breaking your hip. So we've got to address this. This isn't something to worry about. They're not, while their feet are crossed, they're not trying to escape the position. They're sort of locking it down. They're limiting our ability to attack. That's all they're doing here, right? So we want to do a grip break here. So I want to take my inside hand and grab the Achilles here. And I want to cup the top of the shin. And what we want to do is we want to do this push and pull. But there's a bit more detail to it. So when we break it, immediately we want to pull the toes into the armpit. So I don't want to strip this grip and then try and reach for the heel. We might get it, we might not get it. Well, they're crossing their feet, so we want to come under. We want to grab the Achilles. Frame on top of the shin. Don't grab the shin and try and push it away. Try and palm it away, right? So we've got this counter force here. As soon as the grip's stripped, I pull the toes into my armpit and I secure the one-hand grip. And again, either cup it or thumb towards you. But get used to, as soon as the grip's stripped, we pull the toes and we secure the grip. And we do it in transition. So again, this happens a lot, especially guys less experienced with heel hooks. I mean, I wouldn't cross my feet, it'd be the last resort, because it's like tucking your chin on a choke. You're not trying to escape, you're just trying to limit their submission. And we should be trying to get out of this position, right? So again, the right hand's gonna cup their left Achilles. The left palm is gonna go on the top of their right leg. We get this pop, straight away, pull a bend into the leg, toes into the armpit, and cup it, and then we can finish the heel. So again, hips in, heel to the center line, and we'll get the tap. Or sometimes we land with our back flat. If we land with our back flat, we want to drag our shoulders in towards the foot. That's going to bend the toes this way. The hands are going to lift the heel up, and the hips are going to create some bridging pressure, and they should feel it inside the knee. But that's another thing with heel hooks, right? Ultimately, they should break both the ankle and the knee, depending on people's different flexibilities. I've tried to heel hook guys with really flexible hips, really flexible knees, and quite often it'll be the ankle pop first. So it changes with different people, different body types. So as long as they're tapping, that's the most important point. Eventually, if the move's done correctly, it'll break both, just depending on different body types. One or the other will bust first. Hopefully the ankle for their sake. Alright, let's look at one more defense, right? And this is what flexible guys do. Sometimes we get to the saddle, and guys come up with creative responses. Flexible guys will try and grab their own foot, and they're holding it. Sometimes they even use two hands, right? And it's very difficult for me to now create a heel exposure. Again, I don't think these guys are doing this. There's not an escape they're trying to do. So in that respect, we shouldn't be panicking too much, right? Once you've got this position, as long as there's time left on the clock, keep the position, and eventually we're going to find the finish, right? So this is just, they're limiting our finish. But what we can do, we can throw a different attack in, and the defense of that attack will lead us back to the inside heel hook. So instead of fighting this direct on, we're going to just go for a toe hold. So I bring my hand under, grab the toes, and I start to apply pressure in. And what's the defense to a toe hold? Extend the leg. So as they extend the leg to defend that, we transition back to the inside heel hook. So we're in the saddle here. So a real quick one, but this is something that comes up. Even guys that haven't learned much leg locks, flexible guys will just grab their foot. So instead of fighting the head on, outside hand under, grab the toes, then grab your forearm. They start to stretch, switch back, and finish the exact same way. So heel in, and hips in. Let's look at one more, we'll look at two more options. Let's look at, so we're talking about the running man escape where they turn and try and run away. I will say this, right, if they turn and run, so don't be too, this is a leg lock DVD, don't be too one-track minded on we have to finish the leg lock. So I'll talk about this in more detail, right? But you have to understand when the leg lock's gone, and it's better to transition to something else. So if they've actually done the running man escape and they've completely hidden the heel, instead of trying to chase it here, they've exposed their backs. Usually they're up on two hands we want to take this out and attack the back. So let's not give up. We don't have to finish the leg locks, right? I still think if you can get someone's back, that's way better than the saddle position. The back should have a much higher finishing percentage and should be a much harder position for them to escape, right? So say we've missed this leg. Say we're trying to go, they've turned away. They've hidden the heel. Instead of keeping attacking here, let's just use it to turn it into a sweep or back take. So I have to say it, that's like, just because we're in the saddle, we can use it to finish. In my match with Leandro, I got him into the saddle twice. He escaped both times, but he was respecting the position. The third time, in the points period, I went for the saddle, cleared the knee, and I tried to turn it into a sweep. And that's what ultimately led to the back take. If I'd just been focusing on the leg lock, I might have missed the leg completely and been back to a neutral position. So don't give up strong positions like that in terms of just hunting the leg. But again, maybe we want to stop that running man escape, right? But they've hidden this leg. So like, that's going to be, by the time I go pick up this leg, they're going to turn, right? So by the time I reach for the second leg control, they're probably going to get out, right? So we come back. So another thing we can do is we can look to control the toes. Because for them to do the running man, they want to rotate their foot. So sometimes I'll cup the toes here. And now if they try to do the running man escape, very difficult, right? And then we can cover the toes and start to get the heel. So that's a grip, right? So we landed here, that's too far away. I want you to cup it and hold it to your chest here. We can make a transition here to grab the heel, and then the elbow over the top. And we're back into the position. But it's just something to think about, right? So like, if double leg control is out of the question, we cup the toes, and I am applying hip pressure in here. I'm not loose on the hips. Loose on the hips so they can move their knee around. But we apply hip pressure in, difficult. So I grab the heel, shoulder over the toes, and then we finish. Again, heel in, hips in, we get the finish. So just a way of using toe control to stop their rotation. You actually see Gary Tonin and recently Jason Hayden used that very well. So it was a single leg control, but they still managed to control the toes so their opponents couldn't roll away. Let's look at like a leg pummel. It's a specific situation and it's a common response. A lot of guys will use one leg as a counter force to pull the other leg out, right? So I'll show you the defense first of all. Let's look at it from this angle. So I'm attacking here. I've got a good bite on the leg, but they can't just pull the leg out. So they bring this foot in, they'll push it against my bottom leg, and they'll lift their hips up, and they'll push and pull. And that gives them the force, this counter force to pull this leg out. Whereas they wouldn't have been able to pull the leg out without the use of this force. But we can counter that, right? So we're here, we're still holding on. We want to switch the grip to grab the Achilles. And I sit up and sit back through. And we switch. It's like a variation of the saddle. So the saddle was a body triangle. What we're doing is a double hook hit. We're hooking around the far hip, and the inside leg is hooking around the inside hip. So we can cut the knee, and we can slide back down to the heel hook. But again, it's another variation of the saddle. See, I'm not too worried about the particular body positions or how we cross our feet. There's no absolute right way to do it. The right way is any way we can create hip control, any way we can stop them turning away, and any way we can create a heel exposure. So we do this one again. So we're inside here, we're holding the foot. They start to press. We want to grab their Achilles, and we want to pull and back step back in. So keep doing that transition. So another one. This one's going to take a lot of repetition. It's very timing based. We grab their Achilles. We're still holding this. We don't want to let them pull the leg out. If they pull the leg out straight away, they're not going to push as hard. We really want them to be pushing here. And I pull back and sit through. Again, we've got a hook here. Got a hook here. We can grab our own knee and transition straight into the hip hook. But this one's very timing based. Very much. This isn't your option one. This is, they've managed to bring the foot in. They're pulling really hard with this leg. We're holding this leg real tight, so they have to push. And then in that transition, it'll be a quick transition. So another one, we're gonna have to drill a lot. We need to be able to drill it so we can pull it up very quickly. And then we can see the transition in real time and land the timing perfect. So we'll do it one more time. So again, we're holding this leg. The foot comes through. Cut the Achilles. And sit through to attack the arm. Alright, let's do another leg pummel. This is a common response, and I think it's like a common response, again, for even guys that haven't done much leg locks, right? They see that I'm gripping the leg, they bring this leg over, kick my bicep to pull the leg out. So let's look at what we can do to counter that. So we're here, they start to kick. I'm just going to switch legs, so I'll cut the knee, and I'll bring my hips out, pummel over the top. Again, in a situation like this where his knee's so far away, I'd probably grab the toes, and we'll do the transition here. So we're here, they're trying to kick the bicep, cut the knee. We bring the top leg out, roll it over, grab the toes, trap into the body, switch to the heel, and secure the heel hook. So again, this one isn't like, it's not a very complicated technique, but it is going to take practice because you're going to have to be able to determine, is that foot really going to cause you issues? If it's not, let's keep attacking this. We have to practice it a lot to work out at what point we switch, at what point it would be wise to switch. Because even in the switch, there is a risk that we lose a position, right? So you want to really attack this leg. We're not fake attacking the leg, we really attack it. And if we really attack it, they really have to defend it. And in that real defense is the transition we want. If we pretend to attack this leg, quite often guys don't defend to the correct level and the timing's all mixed up. So again, not a complicated technique, but one that's going to take a lot of practice to get the timing down. All right, now we're going to look at a position called reverse X. Again, you can either force the position or it can come up in a specific situation. So now we're playing single leg X. And just like a refresher, the inside foot, we're not cupping the same butt cheek, we're cupping the far one, right? So we're here quite often, guys will push that off, and that drops our hips back to the floor, right? And what we do in this transition is we take our foot from the far butt cheek to the middle. And this is gonna make sense later, but we want it in the middle because I wanna bump their weight to my right shoulder here. So if I kick them, it bumps their weight forward. So as they push this off, that one's gonna come underneath and hook the front of the hip here and block the hip. The reason we do this is it links to this movement, right? If I kick them forward, they step with this leg. If we come back, if I block, kick them forward and elevate a little, they post onto their hands here, right? If they're on their hands, that means their upper body is taking a lot of weight. So it means their legs are light. It means we can lift their legs with our legs here. So you can see I'm keeping the same position. What's important here is I keep my knee on the inside, so facing their head. I don't want to bring it through. If I bring it through, that means we're starting to set up a knee bar here, which is a valid response, but again, the inside heel hook is going to be better. That's the best. That's the top of the hierarchy of leg locks here. So we keep this knee in. We elevate their leg here with our outside leg. So we can even frame here for extra support. So you can see I'm just picking it up. A lot of people teach this move, but a problem guys do is they think instead of picking up the leg, they keep their leg straight and they try and hook here, but they could easily hop over that. We could miss it here, right? So it's a high risk. So again, we're in this position with the weights on the hand. We don't want to kick this leg through and swing it wide, right? I elevate them to bring their leg to me. I grab their knee. I straighten my leg until their knee slips below my knee. Once it slips below my knee, I bring both knees in tight to my chest. And I'm gonna rock up. I'm not gonna kick my legs to come up, I'm gonna rock up. So keep your knees to your chest the whole time. And then fall back to the inside hip. And then we're back to the saddle with the double leg control to attack the inside heel. And the same attacks we did earlier. So again, the reason we don't rock up, right? Let's say they posted, if you post, let's say the reason we don't rock up, say we're here and we bring our knees in. If I kick my legs straight, I actually kick them away. And we end up losing this knee control here. So what's most important is our knees stay tucked and we rock up. So we're in single leg X, and again, sometimes I'll go here voluntarily. So I'll drop my hip and I'll pummel it. But sometimes I'll do it as a response to them clearing this foot. So I drop my hips and hook. Again, we're kicking forward, we're blocking them from stepping, and we're elevating them slightly. Their hands are on the floor here, right? We can post with our right hand on their shoulder. It sort of keeps their weight forward. We don't want them to settle back because then their legs will be heavy again. So if you can see what I do here, right? Their legs on the floor. I lift it. I grab their knee. I straighten my leg and pull their knee past. And I keep my knees in real tight here. And I rock up. And then I fall to the side. Body triangle. And now we're in the same finishing position as the saddle. So we do that again, right? So again, we can do it if they push and we can hook. Or sometimes I'm playing single leg X and I just want to voluntarily do it. So I'll just drop and hook. Again, I'm curling my toes in real time, blocking this. I'm kicking them this way. I'm not kicking them away. If I kick them away, I push this leg far away. I want this leg close to me because this is the one we're going to attack. So we elevate them. We keep their weight with our right hand. Again here, if they post their leg on the floor, what we don't want to do is kick this straight. This is what a lot of people do. But guys just step over it and we miss everything. So here, because their weight's on their hands, their legs are light, it means we can just lift them with our legs. Grab the inside of their knee, pull it past our knee, bring our knees in, sit up, and fall to the side. Body triangle. And then we can do the same finish as we did previous. Something to think about this. Obviously, it's going to be more difficult if you have shorter legs. So shorter legs will make it more difficult. Even me against someone with longer legs, it's going to be more difficult. So you can use this attack, right? But think of it more as a drill, right? It's a drill to develop skills of catching the far leg. So we're doing this now when our opponent's standing. We've got all this space, we've got all this room to move, and we can develop the skills to do it at smaller spaces. We can do this from butterfly guard. We can do it when we push people on back step. The skill we're developing is the straightening of the leg and sucking the knee back in to attack the far leg. So this is a valid technique, but I want you to think of it as more of a drill. So you want to get really good at this, and then we can start to do it with less space. We can do it from butterfly guard, we can do it from half butterfly guard. It will come up everywhere. But if you started trying to do those moves from those small positions where there's not much space, you're going to have a lot of difficulty. So we develop the skills in this single leg X to reverse X transition, and then down the track we'll build, and we'll get it with less space. Alright, so let's continue on. We started with reverse X and we set it up from single leg X. Again, like I was saying, we set it up with lots of space. So now let's look at it from when our opponent's on the knees, right? So we're going to have the exact same position, right? So we're going to have one hook under the butt. Here, not so important to go central. I'll cup it like a butterfly hook. What's important is I keep my knee out initially. At the bottom leg, we're hooking. We're not hooking at the floor. We're hooking slightly up. So they are wrapping around our weight bearing. When you're playing this guard, do not let them initially cross this knee past their belly button. They're going to sprawl on you. They're going to do what's called a smash pass. They're going to sprawl, they're going to crush, they're going to get around the legs. So it's really important is we use this hook to keep our knee out. Why our knees, especially outside the hip, even here is safe, it's going to be obviously easier for them to push through. Why our knees outside, we're safe, right? So I want you to always be flaring as best you can. This leg's not so important, we're just hooking here. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to fall to our side and we're going to reach for that far foot. And when I say reach for the foot, reach for the toes itself. So you want to force in. We'll take an underhook too, right? So we're going to fall in and grab their toes. The way we grab the toes here, you guys can see this grip, it stops them sprawling, right? If they want to sprawl, they want to put the foot out behind them and sprawl their hips to the floor. If we come back, by holding the toes, they're not going to generate anywhere near the same force on a sprawl. And when we're doing this attack, it's the sprawl, that's what counters us. That's what causes us to get past when we attack this position. So again, they're on their knees. We've got the underhook. We're here. What we want to do, right? We want to rock up onto our shoulder. We want to extend our bottom leg through. So I'm going to rock up, and I'm going to shoot my hips in, and my knee comes in. So again, we're here. We rocked up onto our shoulder. So we're making this transition. Where we shoot the knee and the hip in, bring our knee to our chest, and tip them through. And then again, we finish in the saddle. So some details here to think about, right? If I just do it separate, where here we got the butterfly, we're rocking up onto our shoulder, and we're shooting that leg. And when we shoot it, we bring our hips close, hook behind their knee, and we turn our hips up. So some people think the jiu-jitsu warm-up sometimes going to be a waste of time. Well, this is a situation where we're actually using one of the moves from the warm-up. So you guys have all seen a reverse hip escape. That's the force I want you to do. That's how we knock them over. We don't knock them over with the top frame. If I'm putting pressure outwards on my knee to tip someone's entire body weight, I actually probably hurt my knee, right? So we bring this knee in. So we bring the knee in, we suck it to our chest, and we turn our hips to the sky, and then they tip. That's how we do this safely. You'd be surprised how many people really injure their knee here, because they see, sometimes watching the competition footage, it's hard to see the details here, so we want to be real safe with this. So again, with the butterfly hook, we got the lower leg below it. So again, we're not here. We're here, right? We're reaching for the underhook. And I don't want a high one, just a low one, that's fine. We're going to fall to our side and grab the toes. Grabbing the toes, we're already bringing their weight onto us here. We want to roll up to our shoulder. And watch how my knee angles in. It's safe to angle in once we're up on the shoulder here. We shoot the bottom leg straight, and we shoot our hips at them. And again, we bring this knee in, and we turn our hips to the sky. Straight ankle lock grip, onto the side, body triangle. And do it for this angle as well. So you guys will see my knee placement here. So underhook, reverse X, grab the toes. So we roll up to the shoulder, we shoot our knee, bring our knee in, and turn our hips to the sky. And the body triangle. So again, once you've developed the skills to do the reverse X from single leg X, now we can start trying it from here. Remember, we want to be on the shoulder. We want to shoot our hips deep. We don't want shallow hips. If the knee's just hitting their knee, you're never going to tip them. Our hips have got to attach, knee comes in, and we turn our hips to the sky. So reverse hip escape movement. That'll keep your knees safe in this one. Alright, so let's look at a variation of the reverse X guard when our opponent's on the knees, so like reverse X butterfly we could call it. And the first transition is sort of when we can pull their weight on. They're pretty stable, they're not too concerned, maybe they don't know exactly what we're looking for. But the second one is when they're trying to keep their distance. If you look at my match with Nathan Orchard, this is what happened. I took the reverse X, took the file toe grip. I couldn't encourage his weight on. He was quite cautious, but I was able to push him to his butt. And again, we're going to shoot that saddle. And when I say shoot it, shoot the leg file, we bring the knee to our chest. We scoop up the leg right. So again, we've got the same position. Butterfly hook, and we've got the outside hook here. This time, we grabbed the toes, but we couldn't get the underhook here. So again, we got the toes, we're holding it. We're going to just push. We push on their shoulder here. And I use my feet to knock them to their butt. So we just want them here. Once they're here, I grab the lat, because we need a little help pulling ourselves up. Grab the lat, just like we did previous. Roll up to the shoulder. Shoot the bottom leg straight. And scoop it up at the knee. You can see now we've ended up in the saddle, right? In the Orchard match, what I did, right, and I actually think this is a better position than saddle because it completely eliminates that running man style escape here. So we've scooped it up and we fall straight to our side. And I can put my hand behind my back. This might seem weird, but it's a way of trapping the toes and securing the leg, and it stops them rolling out. So as soon as we're here, I don't fall backwards, I fall to the side. And we've actually trapped the toes, and if they try and turn away, quite difficult, they can't turn the other way. What we do is, we leave the arm behind the back, we roll them to our shoulder, and we lift our hips and bring our hand through. And it's a real easy finish from here. So again, hips in, heel to the center line. So we'll look at that transition from a different angle. So we've got the reverse X. We grab the toes here. We can't get them to commit weight onto us, so we go with what they're doing here. We push them back onto their butt, switch my right hand from the front of the shoulder to the lap, roll up onto my shoulder, shoot my leg straight, and scoop that leg up. Once we're here, hand behind the back and pull to the side. Now we're pretty secure, they're not rolling anywhere. So watch this transition. I keep the weight on the shoulder, lift my hips high, and bring the hand back through. We can get good exposure in the heel there. I'll do this angle as well. Hooked. Reach through for the toes. Yeah. So we've got the toes. I couldn't get them to pull weight in, so they're leaning back, so we go with it. So my legs are pushing, my hands pushing, and I pull the foot. Hand switches from the shoulder to the armpit, helps me roll up onto my shoulder, shoot my leg deep. As soon as it's below their knee, scoop it up. Hand behind the back and fall to the side. Then we can transition. We lift our hips, pummel the hand through, connect the grip, and finish the inside heel hook. So again, you've got two angles there. We've got the one where they're standing. Obviously, that's the initial skill development. But on the knees, we can do it when we pull them into us, and we can do it when they fall away. So anytime the butt hits the floor, we can angle and do that transition. Again, you have to come onto your shoulders. Again, you have to shoot your legs deep. This one's going to take some time to develop. So again, the single leg X one, you could probably develop that in a relatively short period of time and find uses for it in training, especially against lower level guys. For this one, you guys are going to have to practice a lot. You're going to get smashed past. You're going to have to remember to keep your knee flat. You're going to have to know when you can push them back, when you can pull them. and you can use those and interchange them. So maybe if you're your training partner with both of them, he knows which one's coming. So now we have to mix up the timing. So maybe I push only to encourage weight back on, or maybe I try and pull them on, get the timing right so we can actually knock them to their butt. If we can't knock them to their butt, it's going to be quite difficult to get that second transition.
Alright, so we'll look at the 50-50 now, and we'll look at how to attack, how to stay safe, and how to counter to get to a better position, right? The first thing we'll look at is if people do a body triangle. It's pretty common. A lot of guys use the body triangle because they think it's going to be harder to break the grip, and they'll protect their football. But in this specific situation, in 50-50, the body triangle grip is going to actually be easier to break. What we want to do, I want to create a frame on the inside of the knee. So obviously the grip's going to be pretty tight. I can't just push that off. But what I can do is I can block the knee from following me, and I can move my hips to my left. And what that does, traps the leg, drags the foot with me, right? So I block the inside, I post on the floor, and I'm going to take my hips and pop them to the other side. Once we're here, the heel's exposed, but I'm going to slam both my knees to the floor and scoop my butt back in as I transition to the heel hook. And the heel's right there, and we can finish exact same way. We get shoulders to the mat, hips high, and drag the heel in. Obviously the finish is pretty straightforward, especially if you've had a lot of practice from the saddle to attack the inside heel hook. It's the grip break that's important. So again, the biggest mistake, guys are trying to just push this leg off. We want this leg to stay still while we separate the inside leg. So again, block inside the knee, use your palm, post on the floor, and I swing my hips as far away. Once we get here, I swing my knees to the floor and scoop my butt back in. And then I swing, secure the heel. I square my hips back up, lift my hips, drag the heel in. What's really important with this finish is that when we apply the inside heel hook, I lift my hips right. So again, I'm not rolling. If I turn with this, if I try and drag the heel to my left, I actually just roll with me, and we could do this. We could do this all day. If we come back, if we raise our hips, so just by lifting our hips, now they're trying to roll, and actually it's going to make the heel come on even quicker. So one more time. They cross here, I'm going to grip inside, hand on the floor, I'm going to pop my hips, pinch my knees together, swing my knees to the floor, my hips in close, secure the heel hook. Again, don't forget to lift the hips before you apply the heel hook. Alright, so we just did it breaking the body triangle, so with the foot under the knee. Now we're going to do attacking sort of the basic foot cross here, which I think is probably a safer position, especially if people start to tuck the feet behind me here. That's going to make it more difficult, right? So what we're going to do is, obviously this one's going to be hard to push. It's going to be hard to pop like we did with the body triangle. But what we can do is we can try and pin the toes. So I try and grab the toes of the heel we're going to attack, and I fall back and grab the top foot. We start to drag this to the other side and sit back up. So now we've got this crisscross, just exactly how we did in the from the saddle position. And with the crisscross, we've got an isolated heel, and we can start to attack the heel hook here. And again, what's really important is to lift your hips here. But what's interesting with this position, sometimes guys will roll to this hip because they'll know I'm going to attack this. So if you roll, and now that heel's hidden, but we can actually still attack the top leg with a heel hook here. So both legs are on offer, right? And if they know we're going to attack this one, they might try and swing their hips back that way, which of course exposes this heel. So either way we can attack either heel with this one. So they're crossing the feet instead of crossing the foot under the knee. We're going to pin the foot. Really grab a good bite around the foot here, right around the toes. I'm going to fall back and grab the ankle. I'm going to start to drag this across, and I sit back up and cut the knee. So again, they expect I'm going to attack this one, so sometimes as I reach for it, they hide the foot. That means we attack the top heel. If they stay where they are, if they roll to their right side, we're just going to attack the inside heel. So again, it's a good one. It follows the same principles we did from the saddle. We expose the heel by Criss Cross. Alright, so let's look at another option here. It's probably a more advanced option because I think it's a little bit riskier. But what you have to understand with this is you have to understand the dynamic of this knee positioning here. So with my knees elevated here above the hips and they apply a heel hook, so grab the heel, it's gonna come on, right? My knee's inside. If I can clear my knee to the floor here and now they start to apply the heel hook, it's not gonna do it's gonna do minimal damage, if any damage at all, right? So if we can clear our knee, we can start to do some pretty creative things here. So again, what I might do, I might fall to my inside hip here and clear my knee to the floor. So now what that means is this heel is relatively safe, right? The only danger is if they pick it back up and bring it back in. But we can fight the legs here and we can actually start to bring the top leg inside. So risky in a sense that my heel is exposed, but not so risky in that my knee's safe. And what I can start to do here is I can use this as leverage to strip their grip, because obviously they're going to be protecting, because their knee is still exposed. So if their feet went together, we can still attack the heel, but we can use this as leverage. So we can use, it's almost a counter force. So I do push with my right foot, but I push the left and I stretch away with my left leg. And we can start to attack the heel hook on this side here. And again, push the hips. This one's really good as well because it really locks their hips down. And it's stretched in such a way that even if they did catch this heel now, they're not going to be able to generate any upwards hip pressure to really put pressure on the knee here. So if we look at that one again. So again, you don't want to open your legs unless these knees clear. So again, don't open, try and put the foot in now. They're just going to break your knee and break the foot in. So we want to fall to the inside foot. I want to try and get my knee to the floor. Once my knee's to the floor, we're safe to unlock our feet here. Again, be mindful, guys are going to grab your knee and try and pull your knee back in. So if they start to pull it back in, we want to cross our feet again. Got our knee in, I'm going to pummel my left foot under their hamstring here. And I really lock it. They got their feet locked here pretty tight. We can use our feet to strip the grip. From here, I would secure the toes so they can't start to turn away. Secure the heel hook. From here you can finish. If you want to generate more pressure, I would take flat on the back. But again, we're using this right. So if you don't use your feet here, you're still going to have trouble stripping this grip. But if we use our left foot to leverage away, it stretches them out, we can attack the heel hook here. So just one more time, I really want to hammer that because, hammer this point down because a lot of people made this error. If the knee's in, don't unlock your feet, you're going to get heel hook. So we want to turn onto our side here, and then once our knee's on the floor, we can unlock and start to pop their legs open with the top foot and attack the heel hook. Alright, so we'll start with some general concepts about being safe here, right? Something I think about is my knee position here, and in relation to their hip position. So if their hips are low on the ground, they're sitting real low, I actually find, and even though in the first video we said this isn't a generally safe option, if the hips are low, usually means the legs are falling off, I can actually clear the knee quite safely in this direction. But if their hips are real high, I wouldn't try that, because it means my knee's blocked by the leg. If I start to turn, all I'm doing is exposing this heel here. So again, if they're playing a lazy single leg X and their hips are on the floor, you see how their leg falls? I would just rip my knee out. But again, if their hips are high, my knee's blocked. So I'm just going to expose the heel hook. So we want to avoid that. Another option we can do is if their hips are high, I like to think of this as sort of like the running man escape. We're going to run over the top. So I'm going to change the angle to get a good bite on that foot here. As I push that off, I step next to their head and I rip my foot out. Even if they have a real tight ankle grip here. So again, we want to clear this. I don't want to run over with this foot here. It's going to block me from leveraging my leg out. So we're here, I change my angle,
grab at the toes. As that comes off, step next to the head, and I run like a knee strap. So I'm really bringing my knee high and pointing my toes. If my foot's bent, we're actually blocking our own leg in there. So we want to bring our knee up and point the toes, and then run out of there. So one more time. Right here, we change the angle. If I'm square, they get a good bite on the hip. If I change the angle, it's easier to pop the toes. Knee to the chest and point the toes. And then we can run out of there. Let's look at one more concept to keep safe. If that doesn't seem like a viable option, what we want to do is we want to point our knee out, but we also want to protect the heel here. So I'm going to try and put my hand into his armpit. So I make sort of like a pointed fist, straight into the armpit here. I start to reach and I grab the lap, and I switch my hips and point my knee out. So we're actually, with our knee pointed as far that way as we can, we're really safe from them exposing the heel. And even if they start to expose it, this hand grip here makes it real difficult. Try and finish the heel hook. They can't get good bind. They can't trap the toes in the armpit. They want my toes trapped in the armpit. But with this hand, really difficult here, right? And if you guys can see, the grip I have is just on the shoulder blade here. So what I do with that grip is I pull, I kick my foot out, and I can spool over the top into a smash pass position. So again, we're here, and we can even use this knee position even if we can't reach the hand in. So sometimes they're so tight here, I can't reach, but I don't want to turn that way. I want to turn my hips out, and I can start to sprawl back and heavy. The angle my knees are really difficult for them to put their foot on the hip. If you try and put your foot back up, real tough. With this knee here, we can start to sprawl on it. But again, the combination of those two. So the combination of when we're playing from the single leg X in the top position, getting our hand in, I base with my other hand, I bring my knee nice and wide here, and I really sprawl heavy. We start to lift them and kick our leg out. Maybe we pass this side, maybe we stay in more of a smash pass position. We change the angle on that one. So again, we're here, we're going to grab onto the armpit, flare our knee wide, and start to pull the armpit as you kick your foot. We wouldn't be able to just kick our foot out. It'd be very difficult with that straight ankle lock grip. But the fact that we've got a counter force into their shoulder, the fact that we're pulling in the opposite direction to the way we're kicking is really going to help. So we'll make sure we do a few angles on this so you can see the way I sprawl. Hand in the armpit, post on the floor, knee wide, and I sprawl my leg back. Here, when you're practicing this, get your partner to try and attack the heel hook from here. Real difficult. We'll do one more angle. So again, we're sneaking our hand into the armpit. That's going to stop them from trapping our toes. We're flaring our knee, and when we flare our knee, limits the ability for them to expose the heel. It also makes it very difficult for them to keep the foot on the hip. So we can actually do a very similar attack from when they have the double outside. What we're going to do, again, we don't want to angle this way. We're exposing the heel, and we keep our heel on the floor here. So we don't want to turn away from it, we want to turn in. I'm going to reach into the armpit, and I'm reaching my shoulder past the knee here. Reach in and grab that line. Just having this in here minimizes the heel hook chance. They can't actually heel hook you with this hand in. Really difficult, right? But obviously, I was demonstrating them. We don't want to angle this way. We want to start to angle out. We want to sprawl into them here. We want to be heavy. And I want to keep this leg far away so they can't transition to the inside heel hook positions on this side. Once we're here, we're low, we're sprawling. I start to kick my leg out, and we can start to sprawl on them here again. So it's helpful. It's helpful this positioning because we do the same defense whether they're doing the single leg X or this outside, 2 legs outside position. Again, we're here. Don't turn away from them, turn in. Try and get your shoulder past. If their knee's in, it's going to be hard to reach. So we want to tuck that into our armpit, tuck our hand in and grab their lat. Post on the floor and flay your knee and sprawl right on the top of their hips here. Again, pull real tight here and strip your leg. Sometimes they open their legs here. If they open, we could potentially pummel through, turn this into a leg drag. Or the higher percentage one is really sprawl on their hips here. Cut the back, and now we're in a smash pass position. Alright, let's look at, we'll look at 2 back takes. Well, essentially the same back take from both those positions, from the single leg X and the 2 legs outside. So we'll start with the single leg X. We want to stack them up and we want to slide this leg out. We want to keep them up on their shoulders. So the first thing we do, two hands on the knee. We're going to push that leg out. I want to get it past me here. So I'm pushing the knee from underneath me forward. The next thing I do is I place my knee in the back of their hip here. I want to keep them stacked. So we're here, we push the leg through. As soon as it comes through, my knee comes in. I'm cupping the back of their hip here. I want to keep them elevated. Then that knee is going to slide through this pocket here. So between their leg and their hip. So we're here, we're stacking them up. As you can see, I'm controlling the ankle. That's a really good way to keep them elevated. I'm going to post, knee comes in, and we create a shelf. So I'm on my toes. This other leg stays tight. Sometimes they'll keep holding, sometimes they'll try and escape. Either way, we're eventually going to break that grip. Hand in the back, and we're going to drag them up onto their knees here. Straight away we secure the seatbelt and we fall back to our hip, and then we can transition to the bottom hook and then the top hook. So now we'll do the same back take. I'll show you a few different angles. I'll do it slow, but the main thing here is the hip positioning, the way my knee positions around their hip. Knee to the chest. As soon as it comes out, we want our knee in the back of their hip to keep them elevated. Push their foot above their head here. We want to keep them stacked. I post on the ground and my knee slides into the hip. So we've got this shelf we've created. It actually can't move too easily from here. We're going to start to drag them up onto their knees. Grab that seatbelt straight away. Fall back to your inside hip. And now switch. Lower leg control. We're going to push the knee, stack them up. I trap their hips in the air with my outside leg. Push that foot above their head, post. Knee slips from the back to inside the hip. Slip it in real deep here. We're going to drag them past us, securing the seatbelt straight away. Once we got the seatbelt, it's okay to fall back to your hip and switch the lower leg position. Now we'll look at it from the double outside position. So again, what we want to do, we want to stack them up. And again, I'm framing with my knee in their back. I'm pushing their foot above their head, and the knee slips back in. So that's the difficult part, slipping the knee in. But the higher you stack them, the easier you'll find it. So we want to keep their hips up. Knee in the back of the hip here. Right inside here, we're going to drag them past to secure the seatbelt and switch. Try again. They got 2 legs outside. We want to push, we want to use our hips, everything to keep them stacked up here. Ankle, knee behind the hip. Now we're going to slip down the inside, create the shelf again. Once we got the shelf, it's really easy to tip them. Watch my right knee flare. We grab the seatbelt, fall back to the inside hip. I keep blocking the knee with my right leg and pummel my left leg through. And then we can secure the back. Do it one more time, guys. So we're in the double outside. We're gonna stack them up. So you can see I load up, I push in, and my knee's blocking the lower back here. Post, swing your knee under, and now we've got a shelf on their hip. We flare our knee to pull them past. Secure the seatbelt, fall back to your hip, pummel the inside, and the second hook. Alright, so now we're going to look at a bit of a sneaky attack from the single leg X position. We're actually going to turn their single leg X into an Estima Lock. So if you've seen the back takes part, it's actually, we're following a similar principle, so you can combine these two. The principle is clearing their knee, but this time we're going to try and catch the foot. So I'm going to get nice and long and start pushing the knee clear. As soon as the knee comes clear, rather than like the back take where we push it all the way up, we want to catch the foot with our stomach here. So we're in single leg X, we start to push the knee up. As soon as the foot catches in the stomach, we grab this really tight straight ankle lock grip. Not a low one in the forearm, we're actually going all the way to the elbow. We're going to go for a rear naked choke grip, and I'm going to sit on their foot. I sit on their foot and I bring my stomach in. So I'm trying to bring my stomach inside here, but while staying crouched. If I arch my back, the foot slips up. What makes this a real strong position is that generally when you apply an Estima Lock, the guy has a chance of lifting his hips, but because he's grabbing our foot, we're actually trapping his hips to the floor here. So once this knee comes out, so again we're here, we start pushing the knee out, hand pummels under for a rear naked choke grip, we grab our bicep and we start to lower our hips to the floor, which pushes their hips to the floor as we bring our stomach in. You can see here, like if I just have this grip from a different position, as I apply they lift their hips to relieve the pressure. But from the single leg X position, it's really difficult for them to lift their hips. It actually will make it come on even quicker. So again, similar mechanism to the back take, except this time, we're not clearing the leg all the way through. Alright, so we'll look at a simple defense here. The back takes are definitely worthwhile if you've had more experience in the position. But we'll look at something quite basic here. It almost looks like you're conceding position, but we're just taking us to a safer position. So when I was talking about the fundamentals of heel hooks, that first chain, I was saying we don't want to have two legs outside in a seated position, right? So if you think, if this has more of a chance of exposing the heel, if they can turn my knee, we don't want to be here. So we want to sit back, but more importantly, we want to sit on this hip. I don't want to sit back on my left hip. I'm giving them a heel hook here. We're exposing the heel ourselves. So if we're here, we actually want to sit and sit in. And as I sit, if you guys can see my foot, I drag the outer part of my toes to the floor, right? So we're in the outside. I sit and I put my toes on the floor. And now we're in the outside position and we're hiding our heel, which is really important. We don't want to give them any opportunity to expose it, so we want to stay on the inside here. So some things we can do from here, a real safe option, is I try and put my foot in the back of their knee. And as I push that, it actually clears the knee. My knee becomes safer. So whether or not we can actually clear the straight ankle lock grip, we're safe from the heel hook here. We can start to push our foot out. So again, a big part about clearing legs is a counter force. Usually people have some pretty tight grips and we can't just rip our leg out. But when we have some sort of counter force, for example here, I'm putting my foot in the back of the knee, we got a counter force to rip our leg out. So that's a simple option, but remember, we want the heel that's being attacked, we want this part of our foot on the floor. We don't want to turn it up at any point, increases the likelihood they're going to expose our toes here. A more complicated option is that we can try and throw our leg under this knee. So again, I stay, you can see here, just for demonstration purposes, I'm on my left hip. We want to be on the right hip. So I want to try and turn that foot to the floor. We're going to throw this leg over and under this knee. So I try and pummel it all the way through there. Once I'm here, just like in 50-50, we can use this to clear this knee line. Once this knee's clear, it doesn't matter to me what they try and do with this leg. We've got a good exposure on this heel here. We can finish the heel hook. Again, they've got this outside position. We were standing. You don't want to stay standing because unless you're really experienced in position, they still can expose the heel. Like if you're experienced, you can be pretty heavy here, make it quite difficult for them. But for us, we're going to try and sit on our inside hip. So I'm sitting on the inside hip, I'm keeping my foot on the floor, protecting from them exposing the heel. First option, we make some space, we push in the back of their knee, and that clears our knee line. So we can either pull the leg out, or we can continue from this position. Second option, we throw our left foot under their left knee. So again, you might have to pull it in a bit tighter, and we throw it, and I hook under their knee here. And I really hook my toes up. I don't point my toes, so I point my toes, they'll take their leg back out and relock. So again, when we make this space, really hook and have pressure elevating towards the sky. Now we're going to kick that pressure that way as we pull our knee. And I would usually cup this knee here. And now my knee line's clear. We can start to attack the inside heel hook here. Switch the angle on this one. So again, we don't want to stay standing here. We're going to fall to the inside hip. And I put my foot on the floor here. What I want to do, first option, kick the back of their knee. We push, push, push. Now our knee's clear. We can rip our leg out. Option number two, we're going to throw our left foot under their knee here. So again, I might pull to make some space. I throw that underneath this leg. So we can use our hands here as well. Say we get close, we can start to use our hands to pull it under. We elevate pressure that way as we pull our knee clear. And I'll cup the leg as well for a bit more control, a bit more stretch on their groin. Once I've stripped it, I might hook the hip here for extra control, or we could come all the way through to the saddle position. But that should be sufficient control, right? So one more time, we're pulling, pulling. Or we pummel this under, we might have to kick and hook. Now we use the counter force, so we're kicking left leg that way as we pull our right. But then I catch the hip as soon as the grip strips. We're gonna put the foot in the bucket, grab the heel hook, lift the hips, and complete the submission. So those are two options from the outside position. So now we'll look at defending the saddle. And I mean, the saddle is done in a number of different ways, sometimes with a body triangle, but I always find that this sort of running man style escape is still going to be your best option. So first of all, the most simple thing, if they're attacking your left heel, don't turn to the left. If I turn to the left, I expose the heel. I'm giving them a real easy heel hook here, right? So that's like, that's just fundamentals, it's 101. You don't want to turn into the leg lock, you want to turn away. So what I want to do for this one, right, is whether or not they're hooking here, whether or not they're body triangling, what I want to do is I want to turn to my right. And again, this is before they've got heel exposure. If they've got your heel, it's done. It's time to tap. The damage is going to be too catastrophic. So what I mean by that is if they've exposed this heel, it's over. There's no point escaping from here. You should tap. If you get out of that, you're very lucky. If you get out of that uninjured, very, very lucky, right? So what we're talking about is before they even have the heel. So what we want to do, I try and feed my body a bit deeper, because you can see, I try and feed my leg a bit deeper, sorry, because if I try and turn, it's like my knee's blocked. My knee's blocked by their knee. But if I can feed my leg deeper, my knee will be clear this knee. So what I'll try and sit in, but at the same time keep this leg back, because I don't want to give them this leg. I don't want to give them the double leg control. So I'll try and sit in, almost like we're doing some sort of fly kick, like Jet Li or something would do. We're trying to put our left foot in. So again, we're here, it's hard to turn. If I feed my leg deeper, it's easier to turn. So as I kick, I bring my knee, and now it's quite easy for me to roll to my knees here. Once we're on our knees, we're going to do like a knee strike, because they're obviously going to be hanging onto our foot. So we want a knee strike, and we want to point our toes. Again, really important, I point my toes. I don't want to try and pull the leg out like that. It's going to be blocked by their arm. I pull my knee out with pointed toes. So we're in the saddle again. First of all, even if we can't turn fully, I want to try and hide my heel. So I'm trying to put this part of the foot they're attacking on the floor. So that we're safe here, right? We're safe for now. They're going to expose it eventually. We can't hang out here too long. I want to kick my leg a bit deeper. So I want to kick it deeper as I bring this knee through. So it's like a counter force, right? Once we're here, it's hard for them to stop us rolling up to our knees. So I'm going to start to roll up. They're going to try and follow, right? But from this position, with the flat of my foot on the ground, it's really hard for them to expose the heel. Now we want to pull our foot out when we're in this sort of hips facing down position. It's the best angle to rip it out. So again, like you're doing a knee strike with your left one, we're pointing our toes. What I don't want to do is continue to roll with it. You can actually get yourself in quite a bit of trouble. So you might do everything right. You might come through, you might roll. I don't want to keep rolling because it gives them another look on the heel. And it's going to be hard at any of these other angles to pull my knee out. So again, we pull our leg out when we're in a hips facing down, sort of two knees on the ground position. So we hide the heel, we feed our leg a bit deeper, we roll up, and that's when we pull it out. That's our opportunity. If we try and pull it out at any other time, you can sometimes end up exposing your heel. This is hiding the heel and keeping safe in these bad positions is a skill. It's more a skill than a technique. You have the general concept. You need to practice that. You need to start in that position a lot. You're gonna have your partner trying to expose your heel, and you're just gonna try and hide it. So that would be step one. Just practice hiding it. Don't even practice really escaping. Practice staying safe in that position. Once you develop that skill, you're gonna evolve to being able to roll out and strip and clear the knee line. So when I bring my knee out there, I'm clearing the knee line. And from that point on, we can maybe counter, we can re-engage the leg lock battle. But what's most important early is staying safe in that position. Alright, so what we're going to look at here is we're going to look at common leg pummel. This one's taught quite a bit, right? But I'm going to try and, we'll show the technique and then I'll try and show why I think it's not as dominant a position as people say it is, right? So we're in the saddle, right? They don't have double leg control. A lot of people think that it's a good idea to re-pummel this leg to attack their outside. So they'll bring this leg and they'll pummel it under the knee, they'll grab their leg, they'll kick it straight, and they'll cross their feet here. And a lot of people think this is a real strong attack because, I mean, at a glance, I've got a foot cross position here. So in a way, my feet are safe. And what they've got is a leg trapped and they've got an outside heel exposed. And yeah, it is, we could attack the outside heel hook from here. So I could create a heel exposure and I could start to apply the leg lock. So we'll do that again. We'll make sure you guys know that. I'm not going to say it doesn't work. Obviously, you've probably seen it work in competition, but we're going to talk about why I think it's not as strong a position as it looks at a glance. So what we're doing, we're in the saddle, we pummel the leg from the outside in, grab that foot, kick it through, cross your feet, and then we start to attack the heel hook here. So if we switch roles here, so now if you do the same attack technique. So why I don't think this is a strong position, right, is in a sense, this is still going to be the outside heel hook, and that's what they've got here, unless they can get the leg across to the other side. But that's going to be difficult, right? I'm going to be very careful about that. Versus my potential grip break and attack on the inside. But just like we did earlier in other positions, this foot is a really powerful breaking position here, right? When I say break, I mean in terms of stripping this. The extension of this foot weakens this. If I was here just fighting for grips, they're going to be real tight. If I can push that leg, we can strip that quite easily. So again, like if they'd probably have the outside over the top. So they're trying to attack my foot. But again, either I extend that leg and now they're trying to attack it. So that's how we can keep safe here. We can either extend it or we can tuck our foot to the floor. Either way, first thing is we don't want to let them crisscross it to the other side. That's going to be real powerful. That's going to be real dangerous here. So first point, do not let them crisscross it. So we want to keep this leg extended. And we want to be active with this inside close. So if I was just finding the feet here, probably not going to break it unless I'm much bigger or stronger. But adding in this, we can extend. And now we can start to go back to attacking the inside position. So if we start again actually. So we're in the saddle. We're in the saddle and they pummel this leg through. They kick it. So first thing, keep this leg safe. Either really extend it or try and tuck it. want to be active with this. So we're going to extend this leg away with our inside. We can even cross. We can even cause like a crisscross here with our feet, so we're like trapping their hip here. And then we can start to expose the heel. It's actually a pretty strong position because it's hard for them to turn away. It's harder for them to turn away than maybe a traditional saddle would be. So again, we strip it, we sit back, and we attack the inside. So the point I want to make with that is that sometimes that seems like a good idea, right? That you're turning the saddle, you're countering the saddle to start attacking the outside heel hook, but you're still in a lot of trouble there. You might get that early days on inexperienced leg lockers, especially guys that leave a lot of space on the saddle. You might catch them by surprise, or you might even get a high percentage of guys where you crisscross and you drag the foot to the other hip and you can attack the inside heel hook. But down the track, when you're fighting experienced guys, that's not going to be a strong concern for them because that inside hook there is going to strip your feet really easy. So this lock here versus their 1 foot, it's going to be inside heel hook versus outside heel hook. And the inside heel hook, much more catastrophic, much stronger finishing percentage than the outside. So in that battle, it is a losing battle, even though you have initial success. Just because you're finding success on lower level guys doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate to upper level guys. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when you practice that position. But it's just something to look out for. Alright, so let's look at a back take from here. And again, this one's going to look fancy, it's going to look complicated. And it is and it isn't, right? Like, it's complicated in that I wouldn't watch this DVD and start with this move because you think it looks the coolest, right? Build up to this. We're working our whole way up to these more complex techniques. But if you do get good at the running man escape from saddle, this is a viable option. So we're in the saddle, just like we did with the regular running man escape, right? We're feeding the leg deeper, we're bringing our knee out. We're going to come up to our knees here. And you can see as I come up, my knee's already clearing. So if you watch my right knee, my knee's cleared. Here I could run. Obviously I could run away. That's what we did earlier. Going back a step. Because my knee's clear, I'm actually free to attack myself. So we can counter this position. So we're on our hands and knees. We're going to bring our left knee over and tuck it in against the hip here. And when I tuck it in, it's a real tight pressure this way. This knee's got to be tight against the hip. And now this leg, we're going to use that against them. So if they had the knee in, so you see the knees out, if they had the knee in, we're in a pretty dangerous position, right? But we've cleared our knee, we've brought our knee over, and now we're going to roll over our left shoulder. But we've got a counter force. My right knee's dragging this way as my left knee's coming up. And that's what stacks them up, and that's what rolls through for the back take. We'll do that a couple more times. So again, obviously, if you're experienced with the berimbolo, that's a very simple technique. It might just be a new position you're seeing it from. If you're pretty inexperienced, so again, we're doing this running man escape. We're turning, and we're clearing our knee here. The left leg comes over, and we kick it hard in against their hip here. So we want this tight grip here. So again, it's like a counter force. My left knee's driving into the hip, my right leg's pulling down on their knees. And we start to roll over our left shoulder. So you can see the force remains. If I leave their butt on the floor here, their back's so far away. So we want to use this crisscross force. If you guys watch, my left foot's going to hit the floor, my right leg's going to kick through. That's what drags them through. It lifts their hips off the ground, and their back's right here. And then we can switch to whatever back control we prefer. But it's the mechanic of the hip control, and it's the same hip pinch we did in the 2 previous back takes, right? So we got this counter force that their hip rotates around. It's why in the earlier back takes we can tip them to turtle, and it's why in this one we can lift their hips off the floor. So we go one more time. So we here we're going the running man escape. We clear our knee, we pull that leg out, we bite on the hip. Again, the most important part is this counter force. We roll over our shoulder. You see their butts on the floor, that's a problem. We're not going to get that back. We have to use these legs. We put our left leg on the floor, their butt's still on the floor. We use this knee, watch what happens. I lift their hips off the floor. And we expose the back. Again, in the gi, with the berimbolo, it's quite simple to actually elevate their hips. We've got all these handles, right? No gi, it's much more difficult, especially when we're sweaty. We can't grab high grips. For example, in the gi, we grab the lapel to block their upper body as we lift their legs. In no gi, we don't obviously have that. We don't have as good a grips. It gets slippery in no gi, so we really need to use that knee pinch here to cause a hip elevation. Without that, this back take will fail. So we'll spend this last DVD going over some attacks that are, we're linking them back to leg locks, but we're using other attacks to set them up. So again, like I spoke about at the start of the DVD, how if you're only going for leg locks, even if you're really good at them, people will still shut you down. Like if your intentions are obvious, even if those are intentions that are really high level, you'll still get shut out. They might work initially, but guys will work out ways to sort of overcome your entries. So we need to hide entries in other positions. So what we're going to try and do with the last one is, it'll be techniques, but it'll be more conceptual. It'll be, maybe we'll attack the upper body, swing back to the lower body. Maybe we'll threaten a sweep to swing back to the leg lock. That's how we're going to set it up. So the first one, we'll start with a pretty simple one. We're going to start with threatening the guillotine, and in turn, threatening the guillotine is going to lead us into the leg lock here, right? So let's say we're passing guard here. Like first of all, I'll just explain that, say what's really obvious is this one. We go for the knee cut. Everyone sees this one a mile away. We go for the knee cut and we try and backstep into the heel hook here. Real obvious, right? You're gonna have a lot of trouble getting down with good guys, and if guys are pretty good at underhook half guard, they're probably gonna use like a Jedi mind trick style, and they'll turn your heel hook attempt into a back take. So we can actually do a similar entry, but we're gonna set it up or something else. So I'm coming in, like I'm passing the guard around me. I'm coming in, maybe I'm 2 legs inside, watching out for their leg lock. I'm gonna reach for a guillotine, and I'm gonna backstep, right? Because I backstep here, because if they follow me up, if you follow me all the way up, we actually get the guillotine, right? So we've landed here, so they don't wanna follow me up. They wanna start moving the other way. They wanna start rolling almost to the flat of their back. And we can let go of the guillotine, pick up inside the knee, and slide in for the heel hook position. So we can attack here, maybe we want to be more controlling, we'll go to the double leg control. So again, we're passing guard here, right? I jump for a guillotine, and I fall to my hip. They don't want to follow me up. If they follow me up again, we've got this guillotine. But they're trying to move away, and in that defense, I switch from the guillotine grip to the knee. I'm still keeping the chin strap, so the threat's still there. I lift the knee and I slide my knee under. I slide my knee real deep so they can't turn away. Maybe I'll grab the other leg before I sit back down. Or maybe we've sat up. Come back to this one. So I've gone for the guillotine. I sit back, I grab inside the knee, and I slide, right? So I keep the guillotine and I slide in and post. And from here, what I can do is sit back this direction. So it's actually maybe even a stronger finishing position. So I wrap up the leg and put the hand behind my back. And what we're doing here is we're covering the toes. We can drop our shoulders to the floor. We can lift our hips up and create a heel exposure real easy. So again, that's our first option, right? So we're taking the backstab, obvious technique, and we're turning it into a more complicated system where, as in, they have to defend the guillotine. So they have to react. If they react incorrect and come on top, coming straight into a guillotine. So they're moving away, and in that transition, we're able to take essentially a backstep heel hook, but we've hidden it with the guillotine. Alright, so we'll do another attack. We'll build a strong heel hook position off of a regular attack, and like an attack that I would say not a very high percentage. So we're going to build it from a toe hold. So even from double guard pull, right? So we could be here. We can see this foot here. If I just jump on this foot, it's probably going to be a pretty low percentage attack, because in my mind, just like a heel hook, for me to get the toe hold, I want strong hip control so they can't roll down, and so that I can actually apply strong pressure into the joint itself. So I consider heel hooks the same as, toe holds the same as heel hooks. But we're going to attack this foot, we're going to link it back to an inside heel hook. So maybe we're both trying our leg lock game here, but maybe we can't get a dominant inside position. So what we're going to do, I'll shoot for the toe hold,
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to forward on my hip and back step. And that's even better. Even better, they try and kick that off. That's really giving you this leg control. From here, I would sit in and sit back to our bar. You can put weight on them, but what's important is we sit back. So when we attack this toe hold, we want to keep our right leg inside. We want to get good at rolling up onto our shoulder and shooting our leg, our left leg. And that knee is really, it's going to scoop up this leg. So it doesn't just sit behind as a block, it scoops up. Just like we did with the sort of that reverse X half butterfly tap. The knee doesn't come behind, it comes behind and picks up the leg. So we go for the toe hold here. I wouldn't actually recommend staying on the toe hold here. Good guys are going to take your back out of here. You're exposing the back to it, right? So as soon as we go for this toe hold, I want to scoop that leg up. So we want to pick this leg up with our knee. From here, I would come under the heel hooking leg, control the far leg, and try and rotate through. Again, you can even do this standing, right? So maybe we're passing guard here. Maybe they try and kick out. We pick up the leg, and we fall back through to the hip. So again, a viable option. But again, just like the last one, not a great attack initially. Pretty obvious, right? If you're just catching guys with a toe hold here, that's pretty obvious. They'll kick out, maybe they'll give you the toe hold and use it to take you back. Guys that are good at being bowlers will definitely do that. But combining it with this attack is going to increase the percentage. So we pick it up, and you can see there, defending the toe hold with a kick. If he kicks it, makes it actually real easy to pick up that inside leg. So again, there's another more creative way to find that inside heel hook position off of an attack. It's pretty obvious and easy to beat. So we'll do another attack where we're using an initial movement, in this case the Kimura trap, and what we'll do is we'll turn a common counter into a inside heel hook, so the saddle position, right? So it'll look like this. So for those not familiar, I'll just demonstrate a Kimura trap first. So we're passing guard maybe, we secure the Kimura. So we'll do this one where they don't defend, and I roll over my shoulder, pin the arm to the hip, start to come in, and there's a number of attacks we can do from that. We take the back, we can do an arm bar, obviously we do a Kimura, reverse triangle, so actually a really, really good position. Something I'll look for a lot, especially in submission only, where we can take risks where we're not losing points. But in this case, what's a common thing is when I grab the Kimura and go to roll, they trap my leg. Obviously we could kick this out, but sometimes maybe we want to change up the attack. So what I would do here is, again, I'm going to plant this foot on the floor, because as you can see, that allows me to jump my hips. And for me to attack this leg, we're going to have to jump our hips to make the distance. So I'd make this transition quick too. So we got the Kimura, I would let go of the Kimura with my left hand and grab the knee, slide towards it. So I'm sliding towards it, almost like I'm going to shoot this knee all the way through, but I'm not actually going to do that because that would be more Kneebar position. I'm going to shoot it through and put my knee to the floor, and my left knee is slamming hard behind their knee. And we can come up to our knees here, we can start to attack the heel hook from this position, or we could pick up the second leg, sit on them, fall back to our other hip, and secure the saddle position. And then from there we could do our regular attacks we've been working on earlier. So again, we're passing, we come through for the Kimura, they trapped our leg. They trapped our leg here. And again, you could just kick out, but it could be a battle here. Maybe we want to go for an easier option. Or maybe because the inside heel hook, like it's one of those submissions like that just about everyone's going to tap to. So a choke everyone's going to tap to, everyone has to tap to, they go to sleep. Inside heel hook, for me, was catastrophic submission. So maybe we're just using this as a bait to set up the inside heel hook because we're rolling against a real tough guy. Maybe like AJ Agazam, he doesn't tap too much. So maybe we need to use this as a diversion to set up the inside, right? So we've landed here, and again, I'm planting my left foot so I can lift my hips. I'm gonna keep the Kimura sort of pressure with this right hand alone. I can angle it in. So I wanna make him think the arm's trapped for as long as possible, but I wanna reach my left hand to the knee and I wanna jump all the way over them. Almost like I'm gonna shoot my knee through, but at the last minute, that knee goes to the floor, and this knee, my left knee, tucks behind their knee here. We come up to our knees. Again, here you could finish the heel hook, right? So I'll demonstrate that. I would wrap the inside heel hook leg up, put the hand behind the back,
full to the shoulder, lift the hips and attack. Or if we're here, maybe we prefer a more slow methodical control. We pick up the second leg, we sit up, sit on them, full to our butt, and turn our knee to the floor, and we've got the saddle. So one more time. We're trying to pass, we got the Kimura, we gotta roll through, they trap the leg. Again, we let go with the left hand, we plant our left foot on the floor, grab their left knee, slide up onto them, knee to the floor, knee behind their knee. We could finish here, hand behind the back, cup the heel and finish. Real strong position, probably a slightly more advanced position. Then we pick up, or we can pick up the outside. Again, we sit on them, sit to our butt, bring our inside knee to the floor, lock up the body triangle, and from there we can finish the attacks. The attacks we worked on from the saddle position. Alright, so we'll look at some entries to leg lock positions from the closed guard. This is sort of very much reaction based, so the initial setup is going to lead to, depending on what your opponent does, a number of different leg entanglements, right? But the important part here is that, just following on from the other techniques, very few people are going to expect a leg lock from closed guard, so it is quite a good position to set things up. I still love using the closed guard just to slow things down, so if I can get to the closed guard, I'll still look for upper body attacks, maybe a Kimura, maybe a guillotine, and this is when they posture up. So in terms of, obviously we want, people are generally going to posture up from closed guard because that's how, probably, I think, the highest percentage way of breaking the closed guard. Posture up, stand up. So if people are low, I'd be trying to force guillotines, trying to get it to posture up, hands on the hips, and that's what we're going to look for, these leg entanglements. So we're in the closed guard, right? They're postured up, generally pretty safe position. What we're going to do, we want to underhook the leg. So sometimes it can be hard to make space, so we want to shift our hips. So I shift my hips to make space to underhook the leg. And in this case, I'm not grabbing the leg with my hands, I'm grabbing it with my wrist. So if you've done some wrestling, a lot of people will say, hanging onto the leg with the wrist itself is going to be a much tighter grip. So I try to adapt that from wrestling rather than just grab with the hand. If I grab with the hand, pretty weak grip. If I grab with the wrist, it's actually going to be much stronger. So we open our legs and we pull the same side knee to the floor. So I pull this one open all the way through. From here, it really depends on what my opponent does. We can enter the single leg X from here if I can put that foot through, and we just bring our leg under. So we can still go to the single leg X. Or, so we open the legs, we come down here. Sometimes I'll roll over the top, but in a way, a lot of people expect a knee bar. We're not going for a knee bar here, we're going for an inside heel hook. So kick this leg straight, or grab the toes, or pull the toes up and put it in my pocket and roll through. And as we roll through, we can attack the heel hook from here. So again, we're in closed guard, that posture, make space with the hips, underhook the leg with the wrist, open the legs, and pull the knee to the floor. So again, like sometimes if my opponent tries to move away, that's going to give me a good single leg X. So they're trying to run that way. That'll give me a good single leg X. From there, obviously, we can attack the heel hook. Underhook, open, knee to the floor. From here, sometimes I can kick through and I can pull my knee all the way under here to create this outside position to attack the heel hook too. So again, depending on what your opponent does, can lead to different reactions, but a good starting position is just underhook the leg with the wrist, open, pull your knee to the floor. So we pull that knee to the floor and then we really can gauge what our opponent wants to do from here. So again, a number of different options. For me personally, I really like to attack the inside heel hook on the far side. So I bring my knee to my chest, kick through, roll up into the shoulders. I reach for the toes, pull it into the pocket, block the hip with our right foot, and we can attack here. So we change the angle on that one too. So knee to the floor, we kick through. I grab the toes here, so right around the foot I lift it and put my knee underneath, and we block with our foot on the far side to make the transition to the heel hook. And here again, hip pressure and bring the heel to your center line. Alright, so we'll look at some sort of staggered attacks from bottom now. So we did the close guard, we did some from top where we were using other attacks to set up the leg locks. Now we're gonna attack from sort of a knee shield, but consider this pretty loose, right? You could do this from half butterfly, from knee shield, from that sort of reverse X butterfly. So all these transitions really work well together no matter the position you're in. And same with these upper body attacks, right? So sometimes when I'm playing knee shield and my opponent is aware that I like to attack the legs, he stays real low. He stays low, maybe he's blocking it with the head, he's blocking me with the arm, maybe I'm trying to reach, he keeps cross facing, I have to clear that. So my path to the legs is blocked. So what I'll do is I'll threaten upper body attacks. And to be honest, if I attack the Kimura from here, it's not a high percentage move, just like what we're doing in the first set of these attacks of this DVD. But when I attack the Kimura, obviously they have to respect it. And in that respect, in the defense, they posture up and try and rip their arm out. So say if we're playing around here, I secure the Kimura, he rips his arm out to defend it, right? But when his posture is high, we can easily transition to the leg here. And whether that be a wrist grip, or if you want an extra strong grip, we want a gable. So we grab a gable grip here. And what I'm gonna do in this particular scenario is I'll drag my knee across, come onto my shoulder, and tuck my foot under. So up to here. You see, if you can see my right foot, I probably wouldn't leave it there. I mean, there's a slim chance I'll get a toe hold or something or attack it, right? So I'll tuck it under. And then what I'm gonna do with my left foot is plant that on the floor and rotate around to a single leg X. And this is really good. If they turn away like this, I'll turn into them and attack an inside heel hook. So you can see here, I've just crossed my feet as if it was a closed guard and that's below the hip. I could even, for people with long legs, you can even go around the hip here. So that's gonna have real good control. And again, anytime we cross our legs like this, we're pulling the feet to the butt so I can apply hip pressure. So even without the heel, you can see my hips are moving. Even here, I can pull my hips in. So that's real important to this heel hook, and it means the heel hook will come on super quick. So another attack I do from here, and not a high percentage attack, but it's a threat they have to respect, right? If their head's real low here, maybe I can't reach the Kimura. This head will sometimes block my shoulder and the Kimura is hard. I'll just grab a chin strap. So I'll try and tuck their head and I'll grab that chin. So if you can see the grip I got here, and what I'll do, this is not a finishing position. You're not gonna finish, guys. But again, they're gonna have to respect it. I'll use my chest to sort of crush their head and they'll rip their head out. And that's how we get to the leg. So again, in this particular scenario, I'm using my right hand to push their weight over the top of me as I invert up. From here, just like we did in the last move from close guard, we could step all the way through, grab the foot, put it in our knee and roll through, and it's gonna be the same finishing position. But again, if we come back, so imagine we've attacked the guillotine, they rip their head out, we divert their weight over, we tuck our foot, and again, if their weight's all the way over here, perfect. Drag this foot past, turn into them, secure the feet, and attack the inside heel hook. So those are two sort of simple grips. Sometimes if guys have their weight low, I'll start grabbing an overhook, and I'll be threatening them in terms of like a triangle choke. So I'll be trying to block their hand, shoot the triangle. So when I'm doing this again, one way they get out of that is to posture out. So they try to pull up, and I'm trying to keep the overhook. So it's in that transition when they're high, we swing back through for the legs. And again, here you guys can do either of the two. So we can come up, we can step through, we can pummel our foot under. Another thing we can do here is if we've got the foot under, but maybe they're real powerful with this leg, but they leave this close. So I'll take my inside leg out, and I'll throw my hips back at this leg and put my knee behind that knee, and we can set up the saddle here and attack the heel. So again, this one's a bit more complicated, but it definitely still comes up. You want to be real comfortable balancing on your shoulder. But again, it's easier to balance because we're using their body, like I'm pulling myself up. So I'm not just like floating in the air here. So maybe we're trying to get the overhook here. He becomes aware of that, pulls his posture back. We come back to it, grab a gable, we start to roll up, and maybe it doesn't feel like I'm gonna be able to get the single leg X. So I take my inside foot out, I'm still on my shoulder, and now what's important here is I throw my hips at this leg. Just like we did with the reverse X half butterfly entry. I don't just reach with my knee like that. I'm gonna get stacked. I throw my hip, and now my knee is real deep behind this leg, and we've got double leg control, so we can bring that knee in, pull them over. We've got this double leg control, or sometimes we land at such a good angle, we get the heel hook straight away. So we'll look at that from a couple different angles. So yeah, maybe we're attacking the overhook, the posture, gable, we roll up, tuck our foot in, and then we take our other leg out, and we throw our hips at that knee. So not just our leg, so not just our knee, we throw our entire hips out, and we turn our hips to the sky. Double leg control, or sometimes we can come straight to the heel hook. So yeah, we're going overhook, good posture. Roll up, tuck the foot in. I'm framing with this top knee. This top knee's not loose. I frame to pull my leg out. I shoot my hips back in, and I bring my knee to my chest. If we don't bring the knee to the chest, we're not going to tip them over. So I'm really bringing that in, and I tip my hips to the sky. Double leg control, or straight into the heel hook. So that last option is a bit more intricate than the first two, but it's still a viable option. When we get good at attacking the first two, people start to see those coming a bit more, start to block it. We have to be more creative. And it just shows you with one grip, we can attack a few options. We can attack the outside and the inside. On the far side, the side with the grip, or we can trick them and we can come back to the inside on this side. Alright, so we'll do one more attack from the knee shield, and this is an attack I actually only implemented recently for the first time in competition. If you look at my match with Bob Ferraz in Australia at Grappling Industries, he came up with an interesting defense. So he anticipated what was coming from the knee shield, and what he did was he actually put his knees together. So once I dragged the leg out, I couldn't get the leg back in. So essentially he's blocking my saddle attack, he's blocking my single leg X attack. But I tried something creative to counter that, and I just went around both legs. But there's a couple details here to make this work, right? The way we come around the legs. So what I did was, I postured up and pulled my leg out, and he kept his legs together, right? So what we want to do here is I'm keeping the leg, I'm going to throw my hips at my opponent, and I threw my knee deeply behind this knee. So I shoot my hips in, and you see the angle of my hips here. This knee is tight behind the knees. Crossing the feet, already doing a good defense. And what I did was, I turned in and crossed the feet around the hips here. I feed this hand deeper, so we still keep the gable grip. I grab behind the knee, I feed it in to strip these grip here. And we can come straight on the heel hook. But you can see, I can still finish the heel hook even with both legs in, right? I've got to keep a tight pinch, bring my feet to my butt, because I can still elevate hip pressure. If we can elevate hip pressure, we can break the knee. So we combine the grip, and we apply pressure in, and we'll get the same finish. So we'll show you a different angle. We don't just shoot our legs at them, we got to swing our hips. So the knee that comes behind their knee has really got to rip in behind their knees to sort of shift them off balance here. So we came up, pull that leg out, we put his knees together. I shoot my hips and I shoot this knee deep. So my knee's tied in behind here. You can even use the ground to give you a bit more lift. I pull, cross, and I feed this hand deeper. I'll unlock my feet so you can see, right? I don't want to pull this hand out. I pull this hand out, they'll pinch their knees together. And now we have to break the grip again. So we were here. We want to feed our elbow deep. And once our elbow's deep, we want to drag back to strip that grip and straight away catch the heel. Obviously my feet are uncrossed here for demonstration, but it would be tightly crossed together. And when we bring them crossed together, bring our feet to our butt, we can create a bridging pressure with the hip. We'll do one more angle. So pinch the knees together, I go around both. And I bring this knee tight, cross the feet. We want to feed elbow deep. And then we'll drag our elbow back down towards the feet. Catch the heel hook. Again, don't be loose with your feet. You want to be bringing bridging pressure in. So you can get it actually with one hand there. Lots of bridging pressure on that one. But that's a creative response to that was one of the first times I had to deal with that defense, which was bring the knees together. Usually I wouldn't deal with that specific defense because your base is off and you'll be easy to sweep. But that particular match was submission only, so obviously he risked giving up the sweep, giving up dominant position to defend the heel hook. So we're gonna do a 50-50 attack now. We'll do this one because it's within the 50-50. There is, you guys would have seen, there's Urbo Santos or Gabarages. They have a Kneebar they do from the 50-50 position, really effective Kneebar. But actually you can flow through that position and end up with the inside heel hooks. That's something I like to think about. Wherever we've got a Kneebar, we've got a pretty good opportunity at a heel hook position, whether that be outside or inside. So for this 50-50 one, right? Generally, it is a bad idea to stand up from 50-50 or to come up, right? Because it's really easy, if I stand up, it's really easy for them to tip the knee and expose the heel. It's hard for me to keep my weight on the ground, right? So, I mean, we're sort of standing up here, but not quite. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna come into like a fly kick position. So I'm gonna extend my right leg and I'm gonna blade away here. Here it's hard for them to tip and expose the heel. If I was standing square, really easy for them to swing their knees. And you see how I lift the heel off the ground? But when we're in this bladed position, much safer, much harder for them, right? What we want to do from here, I'm going to sit into them. I'm going to tuck my foot this way. So we sit and we tuck our foot. So I'm hiding the heel here still. I'm going to sit on top of them here and start to rotate through. I really sit on top here. So for the guys that haven't seen the style of Kneebar I'm talking about, what they do here is they sit and they apply lots of pressure into this knee, and when the person pushes back, they swing through and take an overhook Kneebar here. A bit of a pop, it's okay. So we're in 50-50, so we're gonna turn towards the side we're gonna stand up on, extend the leg, and put the side of the foot on the ground. So here's also a pretty stable position if you want to stay on top. Maybe you're doing a tournament with heel hooks and points in, this is quite a stable spot. So now we're going to tuck our foot and start to sit on them. And I start to really lean on them here. I'm sitting, and now we still look for the same reaction. We want them to push, right? But when we sit, I want you to sit all the way through. Here, we're in the same position we did earlier. We can grab the top leg, swing our knee to the floor, and we're in the saddle. So essentially, we're doing the same move as that Kneebar, but we're sitting further through. So we're in 50-50, turn the way we want to sit up. We can have almost a pit stop here. We tuck this foot and lean into them as you tuck it. We can hold the knee, we start to rotate. I sit on them. Sometimes you can really stack them up to cause reaction, they push. And then I swing all the way through. Grab the leg, post on the floor, rotate knee to the floor, and we've got the overhook position where we can attack the inside heel hook. But again, that one's very, very reaction based. Sometimes guys are aware and they're not going to push that leg. So don't be impatient with that position. Really try and stay heavy on them there. Like you are, essentially, I mean, for an points tournament, if you're on top here, you're probably in a better position. Generally, guys will eventually look for the reaction to push, and when they push, it's easier to rotate. Sometimes you can still rotate without the push, so you can still slightly look for that. But again, you'll be patient in that position, and when you spin all the way through, I believe personally that the inside heel hook is going to be a much better finishing position than the knee bar. The knee bar will come on quick, but sometimes you watch high level matches, guys, I'm going to tap the straight ankle locks, I'm going to tap the knee bars. So for me, I'd rather make a little bit more movement, and we're in a good position to finish the inside heel hook. We're back in the saddle essentially. Alright, so now we'll add in at the end, we'll add in an attack we can do from stand up. I like the reverse scissor takedown, so you guys would have seen that, but I think it's a very high risk move. I think it's, you see a lot of guys get injured. I personally, I don't like the idea of injuring my opponent in that way. Obviously, I mean, I'm not judging anyone that does it, but it is a high risk move, so high risk moves are hard to train, and you especially don't want to damage your training partners, right?
So I'm going to I'll show a set up to an inside heel hook from stand up, right? So when you're putting it as a necktie, we're going to turn this into like a Russian tie. So I'm going to use my shoulder. I grab the wrist, grab the arm, and I use my shoulder to shut that off. We're grabbing under the armpit, controlling the wrist, and I got my shoulder behind their shoulder here. So we've got a pretty good control from here. So the move a lot of people think you're going to do, and this is an option here, is we step in and we do like a judo throw to get them to post their hands on the mat to take their back here, right? But we can mix it up and we can attack this leg. So again, we grab the wrist, grab the armpit, and we use our shoulder to get that grip off. I grab deep and I got my shoulder in the back of their shoulder. I don't want it too low. It's going to be a weak position, so we want to be really far behind the shoulder. So I step in like I'm going to do the throw, but instead I switch the armpit grip to below the knee, I post, and we roll through. And we end up in the saddle position. So we could either attack the heel hook straight away, we could grab a control position on the toes, or if this leg was in reach, we could grab a straight ankle lock. So we'll do that one a few times. So you got the necktie, wrist, armpit, use our shoulder to shuck it off. You can see my shoulder's firmly behind that shoulder. It's not on the tricep here. So we're gonna hop in. Hop, I pretend like I'm gonna go for the judo throw, but I switch to behind the knee, and I roll through. They have to roll up here, or the pressure's gonna hurt. So obviously we go straight to the heel hook. We could go straight to toe control, or if the leg's within reach, we go straight to a double leg, sort of saddle control. So we'll do it one more time. And this is a good one, especially when you're practicing with training partners. If you do go for the first one a lot, they anticipate that, they're ready for that, and we just roll through for the leg lock. Necktie, wrist, armpit, we shuck in, shoulders behind their shoulder, hop in, but switch to the knee. And again, we've got all our options from here, so we can attack the heel straight away. Another important thing is when I roll through, I'm grabbing the knee with my wrist and not just my hand. So we'll go, we shuck. When I swing, I grab deep. So I'm grabbing deep behind me. If I grab with my hand, it slips off sometimes, right? So to enter, right? So here's a safe option to attack the inside heel hook from standing using wrestling style ties. I believe it's called the Russian tie. You have to forgive me, I'm Australian, we have no wrestling in Australia, but again, I think a safe option, safe for your training partner. Also, I mean, you've got the Imanari roll. Imanari roll that's a crazy move, that's not for everyone. I think this is a move everyone's capable of. You can do a Russian tie, and you can do a forward roll. You're in a very good position to attack that heel. Alright, so the last position we're going to do is sort of a De La Riva full up position, but I'll try and show you some different options from that, right? And if you watch my match with Leandro Lowe, I used it to limit his speed because, I mean, Nogi, it already is difficult to slow people down, especially someone as good as Leandro, who I believe probably one of the best guard passers in the game, right? So the De La Riva full up, so the De La Riva position is here. And for me, I believe that Nogi De La Riva is probably it's a pretty weak position, it's a pretty difficult position to make work. Some guys make it work by turning it into an underhook hit, and we could do that as well. So we could enter the single leg X position with the underhook. What we do for that one is we reach elbow deep, grab the shin, and we switch our foot from here, because we could get leg drag, right? We switch our foot from here to under the knee, and we stretch them out. Once their weight's over there, it's quite easy to swing this leg under to attack the single leg X, and we could go heel hooks here. We could attack a number of things. But specifically for Leandro, I wanted a stronger grip to do a similar attack. So what I did, I turned this into a foot lock grip, right? But to get the leverage, I have to lift my hips off the ground. So this right foot plants against the hips, and I lift my hips to reach elbow deep here. Keep my hips off the ground and bring my wrist back through in front of my hip. So just so you guys can see, my hand is on my hip like this, while the De La Riva hook's still in. So we're playing the De La Riva here, reach elbow deep and lift our hips. Once our hips are off the ground, pummel our hand in and drop your hips back. But again, this position has the same vulnerabilities as underhook De La Riva. We are exposed to a leg drag pass.
And if they do get the leg drag, our own hand stuck, so it's a really terrible position. So we can use we switch from the top to under the knee, and we stretch him out. So we can stretch him out that way, and this foot can come over, pummel in, and from here we can attack our heel hooks, right? So we're here. So regular De La Riva, we reach elbow deep, and I grab my hamstring. It's sort of like a pit stop position. Once I hit here, lift the hips and pummel it through. So if you guys can see that transition, we got the hamstring, my hips lift and they circle in a bit. The hand comes through to the hip and then we drop back. And this is a pretty good control here, but remember we want to hook the knee straight away. Because if I leave this here, they throw it to the side and we end up in a horrible position with our hand trapped. Underhook and stretch him out. Yeah. We swing this leg over. We can plant it on the hip and then we're at a good angle to start attacking some heel hooks here. And obviously we could do the same stuff we were doing earlier, or we could switch it through to the other side. Well, I'll show you the De La Riva full lock finish as well. I did try this on the end of a slim to zero chance that guy's going to tap to any sort of straight ankle lock pressure, right? So what we want to do, we want to get our De La Riva full lock position, but instead this time when we hook, I unhook the De La Riva and I try and drop them onto their hip here. So I stretch them out, and you can see the heavy pressure on the knee, tips them to the floor. And what we want to do straight away is replace the De La Riva hook in. So I plant my foot on the floor, and I hook the De La Riva hook back. We keep our foot tucked here, under their knee, our right foot, because again, we could get this throwing past. We don't want to be out here, we want this tucked. And then we just finish the same way we would a straight ankle lock. So in that respect, I'm arching, and the beauty about this position is because we've got the De La Riva hook still in for the foot lock, they can't extend their leg to relieve the pressure. So the typical putting the boot on to relieve the straight ankle lock pressure is impossible from this angle. So again, we finish the same way. I will say for that one, be careful of your partner's knees. You do come down at a pretty vicious angle here. So we'll do that from this angle. So we got De La Riva. We're going to switch to elbow deep, foot on the hamstring to elevate and turn in. This makes space for us to bring our hand through in front of our hip here. We're going to hook under the knee. So again, we can pressure that way. If we wanted to get the single leg axe over the heel hook position. If we want to tip them, just stretch and apply pressure into their knee. And now tip. Here, we want to bounce up to replace the De La Riva hook. So you can see my hooks come back in. If my hook wasn't in, they could straighten their leg, but because my hook's in, they can't straighten the leg. This means the foot lock's going to come on much quicker. You could probably finish it with one hand, or you could really connect the two to apply more force in. But again, hip pressure, we're arching away, and we're applying pressure straight into the ankle. So that's a good strong position there. It's also a good position to slow someone down, which is a strategy I use. It's a good position to attack the straight ankle locks, and it's IBJJF legal. We could also, off both of those De La Riva guards, we can enter the single leg axe, which is also IBJJF legal, but again, we're getting into strong heel hooking positions there. Alright, we'll throw in the flying triangle finish on Murillo, right? I will say, obviously it's not a leg lock, but the leg lock did set up the top position. So my threat to his legs, he conceded the sweep. Wasn't a real sweep because we were in the no points period. So my entry was stuffed by him just conceding and sitting, right? And when I went to pass his guard, obviously Murillo's amazing guard passer, amazing guard also. He was trying to play shin on shin. So he had this hooking grip here. So I started controlling the wrist initially, right? And the way I control the wrist is important too. I don't just grab the wrist. I grab with my middle finger, my thumb, right between the bones here. And for extra control, I'm using my palm to keep the wrist down. Much harder for them to strip that grip, so it has a very strong grip there. And what Murillo did, because my base was back, I was trying to pass, but I would have rather played guard. Murillo tried to come up with a single leg, right? As soon as he comes up, we'll grab it out overhook. And what we're doing, we'll try and recreate as best we can, but I'll try and go over the details that led to the triangle, right? So it's the wrist control, it's the armpit control, and it's the way you shoot the flying triangle. I'm not shooting with this leg first. If I shoot with this leg first, that doesn't break his posture as well as the right leg, the underhook leg. And that doesn't sound like it makes sense, but
when you shoot with the left leg, they can still look up. When I shoot with the right leg from here, I shoot it deep and it's heavy on their back. Now they're trying to posture up, very difficult, right? And then we shoot the left leg. If I shot the left leg first and they posture up here, it's harder for me to keep them down, right? But if we have this angle here, and that's with knee pressure and they try and posture up, very difficult, right? It's the same with an omoplata. You want heavy knee pressure before you make the transition. We'll do it one more time. So we're trying to fast playing shin on shin. I grabbed that wrist control first. So even before he came up, I had the wrist. I grab the overhook. I can pull the overhook up, so I pull it high to strip that grip he had here. And I shoot with the right leg first. And then we shoot the left. But we'll go over the finish right now, because I believe a lot of people mess up how to finish the triangle choke, and they're too concerned with dragging the arm across, right? So let's say we land here. We've got our opponent in this position. And this again is the same way I finished gorilla, right? For me, the most important thing here is first posture control. You want to keep that posture broken, but it's also a knee pinch, right? Because my leg is going to choke the right side of his neck, but his shoulder chokes the other side. So you see there's a gap here. So we want to be pinching our knees together. We want this gap taken away here, right? And then we reach for the shin. We keep the knee pressure of our right knee throughout the entire transition. I'm never loose. This is the biggest mistake people make. They put the foot on the hip and they relieve this pressure. They think it's all with this leg. And you can see there's a gap here, and then they try and throw this leg. But guys with big shoulders, we're probably not going to get the finish, right? So we keep the knee pinch the entire time. I grab the shin. If you guys watch, this knee will stay tight. So it's tight, tight, tight. I cut the angle, it stays tight. And when I place it over the shin, the knee follows the shoulder. So it passes to keep the gap, and we should get the finish pretty quick here. If I let the shoulder go, so like if I cut the angle and I throw my leg out to throw it over, even if I don't throw it out very far, that shoulder comes away from the neck, right? So if I go here, the tap's going to be much harder than if we maintain this pressure the whole way through. So this is complete compression, and I pass the knee over. Again, some final touches to finish the triangle. We want to point, we don't want to point the toes, we want our feet up, and we also, to add pressure, start to turn our top leg out. You can see that it's going to take the space away here. So if you guys look without someone in there. So pointed toes, we go with the space, we turn our feet up, activates the right muscles, and then to make the gap smaller again, I turn this top leg out. You see how that takes the space away? So we don't want to be finishing here, like I know I've seen some weird triangles where they're grabbing here. This is actually making more space. This top leg wants to flare. So we're going to activate the toes, flare out. That's how we get the finish, and that's how you get the finish without having to drag their arm across. So just remember, constant pressure, constant knee pinch pressure, and especially when you transition to the foot over the knee.